I was 14 years old. Like, what the hell do you know when you're that young?
Jennifer Arose grew up in New York with dreams of becoming a Broadway actress. She was thrilled when she was accepted to a performing arts high school in the city. And it was outside that school back in 2001, she says, a woman first approached her.
She was definitely trying to get to know me, trying to find out, where I was from, where I grew up, who I lived with.
Arose says the woman kept showing up, talking to her, sometimes offering to buy her lunch or a soda.
The first time she brought up the name Jeffrey Epstein, how did she describe him to you?
He was just a great guy. He's just saying, he's helped me. I've struggled. She was similar to me.
Did she say he could help you with your career?
That was a big part of it.
And when you think of her now, you used the phrase, you said the recruiter. You felt like she was looking for someone for him.
100%, yeah.
Arose says the recruiter brought her to Epstein's townhouse, just blocks from the school.
When you first met him, what did you think? What did he say?
Very nice. Basically saying that, he's heard a lot about me. The recruiter was talking such nice things.
Arose says she was served wine in Epstein's kitchen and they talked. When she left, she says she was given $300 and was repeatedly invited back.
The secretary would contact me
and say,
are you free? Can you come by? Epstein would like to see you.
She became familiar with the eccentricities inside Epstein's home.
There was a lot of artwork that had insinuated nudity with women. And I remember
suggestive?
Very suggestive. We had a bathtub that was kind of opened. And there was prosthetic breasts that he could play with while he was taking a bath, I guess. It was very odd. And the painting that was literally right the massage table would be here, and this painting would be right here. And it was a very pretty naked woman. And he used to always say that I look like her.
She says after a few weeks of visits, she was escorted alone to what she says Epstein called his favorite room in the house, the massage room, and things turned physical.
In that moment, it didn't.
At that moment, yes.
Strange to you.
But at the same time, I was scared too, because I didn't know if he would get angry, or so I kind of just followed. I would have just my underwear on because that's how he liked it. So, and I would just get massages back, and then he would potentially later on turn over and play with himself. And he would also when I would play with his nipples. He used to get turned on by that. And then he would...
Is that sexual assault?
I mean, it doesn't sound like it. She didn't seem like she was against it.
She just said she was playing with his nipples.
Right.
And then she said, wow, she was playing with his nipples. He was playing with himself.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna just keep listening here.
Right.
I'm not jumping to no conclusions, okay?
Finish himself off, and then that would be the end of it. And he would still give me the 300, and normally I would either get it from the secretary, would leave it in a drawer in the massage room.
How often do you think
it was
you were there?
Yeah, once a week, twice a week, my freshman year.
Did you ever tell him your age?
I told the recruiter, I've mentioned it in front of him, yes.
You're 14 years old.
Yeah, he knew very well my age. You know exactly,
But
who he was hanging out.
He knew very well her age. But did she know very well that he was a recruiter?
I mean,
what he was recruiting for.
Right. I mean, where was her parent? You 14, you say you repeatedly coming back, you drinking wine, you getting money.
Right. Was this a boarding school or was she staying on campus?
So she said this was her freshman year of What did she say? Her freshman year. Freshman year of
At
what?
14 years old, that sounds like a freshman year of high school.
Hmm.
Maybe we better keep listening.
Yeah, yeah.
Was, you know, I don't think he cared.
When Rose turned 15, she says things took a turn.
You know, just take your underwear off and get on top. And I said I didn't want to. And he, you know, very forcefully kind of brought me into the table, and I just did what he told me to do. I was really scared. I didn't necessarily think that he was, you know, going to rape me.
Did he hold you there?
Yeah.
No question in your mind. He knew you did not want that to happen.
Oh, yeah. No, he definitely, yeah. There was no way. I was like, I don't want to say I was screaming or anything of that nature, but I was terrified, and I was telling him to stop. Please stop, you know?
And did he?
No, he did not stop. He had no intentions of stopping, and that's what he wanted. That's what he got.
When you left there, you never went back.
After that day, no, I never went back. I was terrified. I was really scared because I didn't want that to happen again.
And you left school. Did you leave the school because it was in the same neighborhood?
Yeah, it was so close.
In your mind, did you use the word rape? Did you recognize it then as rape?
No, I don't think I did. I just thought, like, you know, it's my fault. Like, I was like obligated. Like, that's just what you're supposed to do. So
Okay, so if she didn't recognize it as rape, what did she recognize it as?
That's what she was supposed to do.
Is so if that had happened to you, is that what you would be thinking?
I mean, come on, if that was me and another 14-year-old boy, I would know it was wrong. You know what I'm saying? And if I felt so uncomfortable, I definitely wouldn't be coming back and you giving me. I mean,
Like you came back several times and like I'm wondering like did they do this every time she came back? And was she naked every time she came over?
well, she said she came in. She would come in her panties, didn't she?
Yeah, she nothing but her panties.
Because why did she say she did that? Was because she knew that that's what he would like or
Because that's
something
what
like
he
that.
liked or something to that effect.
Yeah. And again, I'm still trying to figure out where's the parent. If you are looking for a modeling career, why is your parent when my grandmother was trying to put me in modeling school? Number one, my mom said no, but my grandmother was right there. She took me at probably around 13, 14. She took me there. And it wasn't at somebody's house. It was actually at a school, like a modeling agency school. I mean, I don't.
Like what made her think that this was okay? I wonder where she thought this was going. You know, she's saying she's 14, but she didn't know nothing. At 14, like what did you think you were going there for? You knew
I
he wasn't
mean,
no modeling agency and like you're massaging him and doing sexual things. What part of modeling is that?
right? And why?
And why does she keep going back to
And did
do it?
she? Did she? I'm just interested to know if she ever told her parents
Yeah, I'm wondering that too.
because she said
Like,
she went like 1 or 2 times a week.
right. That's kind of what I was getting at. And once she realized something was wrong with it, and if he really sexually assaulted her, did she tell her parents?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
did she just not say anything? When did she come out? You know, that's just awfully weird for a 14-year-old to be doing that and participating like that
and keep
and
coming back.
not know where that was headed. Like you naked and you massaging a man that has to be somewhere near the age of your father.
And watching him relieve himself, as I believe she said. Like you saw
Right,
his junk and everything. Like you literally knew that it was wrong. Like, and you kept coming
right.
back.
And
One
then she
like
came back.
yeah, 1 or 2 times a week. I mean, most kids that end up in the city, they would be too scared to come back. At 13, 14, you know what I'm saying? Like, you not at 14, a lot of people are actually doing it with their peers at 14
Right.
and know that it's wrong.
Exactly. All right. I guess we finish hearing her out.
Really did not know better.
When did you stop blaming yourself?
It was a long time, really.
Rose says Epstein's staff continued to reach out to her for more than a year, but she did not respond. She says she didn't immediately tell anyone, including the police, something she says she now regrets.
Did Jeffrey Epstein rape you?
Yeah, no, he raped me. Forcefully raped me, but knew exactly what he was doing. And I don't think cared. What hurts even more so is that if I wasn't afraid to come forward sooner, then maybe he wouldn't have done it to other girls. I feel really guilty. To this day, I feel really guilty.
Rose says she suffered from crippling anxiety, depression, and panic attacks for years until she finally confided in her mother, her then boyfriend, and 2 close friends. 3 told NBC News that she first told them about her interactions with Jeffrey Epstein a decade ago, the 4th about 6 years ago.
Have you ever tried to reach out to prosecutors and tell this story?
No, I did not. I was just too scared. I didn't really want to go, public with it.
You intend to file a lawsuit. What would you say to those who say a civil suit, lawyers, this is about getting money?
He hurt me badly. I prefer not to go through this. So, this is one way for me to get justice.
What does it take to find the courage to speak and tell your story?
It's a lot, even though maybe I don't look it because I'm so sad, but also happy tears because I'm able to, let myself go of this burden. I feel brave. I feel strong more than ever right now.
What you think?
I don't know what to think. For real, I just keep seeing these people who know that these guys got money and stuff like that. Like, I just feel like if you at 14, you know it's wrong. Normally, a 14-year-old would share it with a friend. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't be like, I gotta keep this secret from everybody in the world. When you have little friends and stuff, you share stuff like this with them at 14 and 13. You know what I'm saying? Like if something like this happened, this ain't something that you just automatically be like, you may not tell your parents, but your friends and stuff, you be like, I met this guy. You know what I'm saying? You ain't tell nobody.
Right.
Nobody in the world. Not a friend, nobody. And then all a decade later, like what is up with these people coming out decades later? Like if you kept it this long, you might as well have just kept it. You know what I'm saying? Unless you were gonna prosecute this dude or something, but it always end up being about a civil suit. So when you start saying justice, that's not justice. A civil suit to me is not justice.
Right.
Like all of these years later, if you repressed it or kept it to yourself, you might as well have because money ain't gonna do, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is money gonna do for real? Like, it's like me getting injured at work. Yeah, I have to accept money because it costs me money. Like, I literally got bills and stuff like that, backed up bills. I got medical bills. So yes, I would expect money out of it because you can't give me anything else, but you cost me money.
Right.
But if it was years down the line, and I don't, even with that, I don't see my case with, the workers' comp system. I don't see that as just like justice, like you give me money. That's a slap in my face, honestly, because all you got to do is just pay somebody off. You know what I'm saying? And now you got away with the crime. But I'm just trying to understand is, so when it comes to these famous people, it always only end up being about money. Nobody is prosecuting. Nobody is reporting it to the police. Nobody is telling their parents. No, it's like, what the heck? It almost make me wonder, did this even happen to her? You know, or did she come up with a story all these years later? Or, this woman that's giving her these leading questions, like, did they set this up? I don't know.
Right. Was she a willing participant? Was she underage, or is she just lying? Because she don't sound too truthful right now.
Yeah, anybody can come out. Honestly, anybody can come out. Is it any evidence? Is it any records, text messages? You know what I'm saying? Or is it just some girl who came out with? Because I mean, honestly, at this point, I can make up a story and be like, "Yeah, I was a victim. I was 13 years old, and I know where he live at now." You know what I'm saying? Because all his information is out there. I know who the woman, I could say Maxwell was his recruiter. Literally, like, anybody can make up a story.
Right.
But where is it any proof? Is this woman bringing forth any proof? It's like they never seem to have proof. They just always have stories.
And they always contacting somebody else to set it up.
Right.
They don't have they ain't got text messages between the actual person, the agreement with the person. It's always somebody else calling them and setting it up.
Right. Like,
Well,
did anybody
Mr.
witness
Epstein
her?
would like to see you. Are you free? Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I am free.
Right, where's the neighbors and the witnesses that saw her going over there? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, did they sneak her in the back door? Was she concealed every time she went there? Did she just walk up on the porch? Like, we just went straight to the recruiter had me come. It's like a bland story. You know what I'm saying? Normally you give a
Exactly.
story, you tell the details. Like, I was standing outside on the porch and she walked up to me and then she called me. I was able to contact them this way, you know, something. It's
Right,
like nothing. We just literally got a story. And again, it always end up being a civil suit. I'm not saying that it did or didn't happen, but it's easy, you come a decade later, just like with Trump cases, these women come a decade later just in time to show up for some money.
right.
Like, how does this girl now?
30 something?
I mean, can't you file criminal charges? Like, when she did tell the mother, did the mother not suggest she file criminal charges?
She never even said she actually told her parents.
Yeah, she said later she confided in her mother and her boyfriend. So by this time she's obviously old enough to have a boyfriend. But she said they
When
asked
you
her, when
say
did she come?
confided, that's like telling them don't say nothing.
Hmm.
Confided means like you're trusting them to keep your secret.
Mm,
That's not the same as telling somebody so something can be done.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. When she
That
did,
don't count. When you confide in somebody, you keeping a secret. That don't count.
yeah.
You can't say, okay, I confided in them so they know they can be a witness to that I told them about it. That's he say,
But
she say. It's not
hmm
admissible in court.
yeah, but my thing is, like I said, excuse me, even you confided whatever. Now that you're older, can't she go back? If you were a kid when it happened, don't they have laws where you can go back and charge somebody criminally? Isn't it people coming out years later against what's his name? R. Kelly and like
No,
wasn't
there's
he
statutes of limitations on criminal charges.
right? But when
And
there's kids involved, if I'm not
well, she
mistaken,
ain't a kid now.
I know, but I'm saying if you were a kid, I'm gonna look it up.
I think I know what you're saying. You're saying if you were a kid when the
When it
assault
happened,
happened,
yeah,
yeah, does that disqualify the statute of limitations?
right.
But it don't matter in her case. I mean, like Epstein could have been convicted in her case.
Listen, it says yes. In many cases, children can file charges against a file pet later in life, even as adults.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. But in her case, it don't matter because th- she's accusing Epstein, which is dead. He's dead. But I think he might have been convicted for he might have been convicted for what was involving her case.
Oh, okay, so he, are you sure that was her case?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I know they knew about her case because that interview was like 6 years old.
6 years, yeah.
Yeah, so she's a known victim, but I'm saying like Epstein is who she's accusing and he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So like she could give all the details and there's still nobody to prosecute to this day because Epstein is dead.
Oh yeah, and there's nobody to go against what she say either.
Right. She's really not bringing up anybody.
Okay, so she's just an accuser. So this wouldn't really matter in all of this.
It don't matter only because Epstein is dead.
Right, right.
That's why it don't matter because the person they ain't gonna try no dead man.
Yeah, so this can just be a somebody just accusing them. Like 50 more people can come out with no evidence and just accuse them.
Right, right. She
Hmm.
was she was just an accuser, and what she presented to us, the only evidence of any crime there was that she was underage. She was too young to consent,
Hmm.
according to her. But of course we don't have any proof of that just in the interview. But
Yeah.
listen to this one. How about we check out another victim?
Okay.
Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, and I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed and I was naked and I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. So he sort of used to see how far he could sort of push people, I guess. Sorry, I get anxious about this.
Yeah.
When we were taken to his bedroom, it was always pitch dark and ice cold. Waking up in a laboratory with 6 people in hazmat suits around me.
How do you feel about the Trump administration's statements this week about Epstein?
I think it's horrific, actually, especially when Trump gained presidency promising the list. He told me he worked with CIA. He told me he had my family's name on a list.
It was the government doing it. So you can't really get the government to tell on itself.
A lot of people want to judge girls who are taken there and stuff, but they don't know what it's like being kidnapped by the most evil people in the world.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are interviewing Juliet Bryant, a survivor of the Jeffrey Epstein human trafficking network. I'm super honored to have her, and I think this is going to be extremely important information for everybody, especially in light of the recent super abysmal treatment of the entire topic of the Epstein client list by the
Shout
current
out to Blair White
administration.
for the
Are you
interview.
still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
You know, I just think that listening to the victims right now is obviously not only the most important thing, but the only thing we can do, because we can't listen to our government. That ship has sailed. So Juliet's story is not one of just survival, but radical courage in the face of true evil. She's breaking through the elite's attempts to silence her by choosing truth, regardless of the cost. And we're lucky and blessed that she's doing it with us today on this channel. Juliet's testimony is an inspiration to me, and I know it will be to all of you as well, serving as proof that regardless of the size, of the power, of the evil that she and all of us are facing right now, I truly believe that God is working through Juliet and using her to tell us the truth that our government refuses to. So, Juliet, thank you so much for being here today. I know this isn't an easy topic, so I'm really thankful you're here.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Blair. And also thank you to everyone for listening. And I can see also from your interviews you do, Blair, you really care and you're fighting for justice. And thank you for that. So I'm really honored to be on your show. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think the most logical place to start is, how did this monster, Jeffrey Epstein, and his operation enter your life to begin with? What was your life like when you fell victim to this? What were the circumstances of your life, and how did it all come to be?
Well, when I met Epstein, you know, my family were having a hard time financially, and I was also starting to study. I wanted to be a psychologist. My plan was to do art therapy and help with children. And then I started doing modeling on the side to make money, because I was already scouted when I was 14 years old to do modeling, but my mum wouldn't let me do it. So this was when I was 20 years old. I'd been scouted again, and I eventually started modeling. And then just to make money, of course, you know, I really wanted to be a therapist and I wanted to help people. And then one night I was out with a friend of mine and we met a girl called Naja Hill. You know, we didn't know who she was at the time. Of course, she was just a sort of, you know, no one really does. But, you know, apparently now she works for Fox News. But she approached a friend of mine and I and said that her friend Epstein was here, Jeffrey Epstein, and he was with the president of America, the ex-president Bill Clinton. She said he was here with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey, and he owned Victoria's Secret with Leslie Wexner. And he said she said it would really help my modeling career to meet them. So of course I was like, I wanted to meet them because it seemed like the most legitimate opportunity. You know, it seemed like a dream come true, really. You know, I'd always been hoping that I would, you know, be able to do something with my life, you know, and just with the modeling models always hope for like their lucky break. We went from the restaurant bar to the restaurant where they were having dinner, and they were all there. They, you know, Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, they were having dinner with a few government officials. I'm sorry about my dogs in the background, but, you know, everyone understands protection dogs. Got to have them, you know.
Yes.
So the government officials didn't stand up and meet us, but Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, and Jeffrey Epstein, they all stood up and shook my hand, you know, and I was very like starstruck, and I didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was at the time. Obviously, no one did. You know, I just thought, oh, it's some man who sort of runs the world, King of America, is what I was told, with the president and all these other people. You know, and I was just like starstruck because I just turned 20 years old. I was young, and I'd never met any celebrities in my life. And when Bill Clinton shook my hand, like he just held onto my hand and then he went like this and he started talking to someone else, and he held onto my hand for like at least a minute and just carried on talking to them for ages and ages. And after like 1 minute, he looked at me again and he said, "Nice to meet you." And I was like, stop, like, you know, it was scary having this man holding onto my hand for so long, but I didn't know what to do. You know, I was just like overwhelmed. And also I really, you know, back in the day, we really trusted in people in positions of power. You know, we didn't know as much as we do now about how dodgy they really are. We really
and right
thought
off
that they
the
were
bat,
people.
If I can just make one comment right off the bat,
I'm sorry, yeah.
that already, you know, to me, that communicates that he is not at all concerned with your boundaries, you know, to hold on to you as if you have nowhere else to move around the room or anyone else to meet. it seemed like he was already crossing boundaries with you because he was likely very comfortable doing it with other women and girls before you. Just that small thing, you know?
Yeah, it was so weird. Like, and now with people saying about clones and everything, I'm almost wondering if it was a clone. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Maybe.
I'm sorry. Sometimes we just have to laugh to like get over trauma. And if
Oh,
I
I
laugh,
get
it's
that.
not because I think this is funny. It's because, you know, just because I was sexually molested does not mean I can never laugh again. You know,
Oh,
I did some
I get
video.
that.
Yeah, you know what I
Yes.
mean. And I actually
Yes.
want to
And
touch on that. Yes.
you deserve to laugh more. You know, you deserve
Mhm.
a life of laughter and happiness now after everything. So sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your story.
Yeah.
So where you were going
Yeah, but it's an
from there.
important thing for all survivors of abuse. Just because people have been abused doesn't mean they're never allowed to be happy or laugh ever again.
Right.
You know. And so anyway, after we left there, then Naja Hill phoned me the next day and she said Epstein really thought you have a lot of potential for modeling and he'd like to see your modeling book. Will you please bring it to the hotel where they're staying for a modeling casting? But before the modeling casting, they're going to be doing a speech at a university in Cape Town. So I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course, you know. So I got in my car, I had a little city Golf, and I drove there, and then I got in they had like buses, but like small mini buses, and I got in the bus with them and went and watched Clinton's speech. And, you know, Kevin Spacey sat in front of me in the hall. It was a very like basic hall. It was not the kind of place you'd imagine to see a president giving a speech. It was very basic. And there were a lot of students around. And Kevin Spacey sat there with a handheld device just filming everyone. Like I was sitting right behind him. So he even probably got my face on the film. He was filming like this around the whole hall of all the students, you know. And I don't know why. At the time, I just thought, okay, he's, you know, doing a bit of research on Africa and they're filming for their speech.
Hold
But, you
on
know, it
one
was very
second.
strange that he was filming everyone, especially considering the allegations that have happened.
Did you speed that up?
Yeah, I sped it up
Oh, okay.
so she can hurry up and get to the details.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say I can't take it. Okay, go ahead.
You thought somebody put something really fruity
Man,
in
they
your
remind
Fruit
me a
Loops,
lot of
huh?
these Democrats when they get to talking about you can't shut up, you can't get a word in, you can't answer a question, and I mean it literally give me a headache. I'll be like, shut up.
Yeah, nah,
So
my bad.
she was coming off. No,
I just sped
so
it up so she could, so she could get to the point. Cause she, right now she telling us she hanging out with him, but she ain't giving us nothing yet.
right. I don't
So I
think
just,
she is because I'm looking into her right now, and
hmm
literally she not like even in all of this. They're like she not giving. She haven't said no names other than Bill Clinton, and she said in a public setting. You know what I'm saying? But it's saying that she was talking about she was offered to other men, but those men haven't been named by her.
well, I was letting
She
her say that,
yeah,
for
okay.
the viewing audience. We don't want to put no words in her mouth.
Right, right. Well,
You
I
know what I
know she
mean?
gonna yeah verify it or not. So, but
We
okay,
we we want to let her speak.
okay, go right
She the victim,
ahead.
right?
Right, right.
Right? It's
Uh-huh.
all on what she say.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay.
To Kevin Spacey all these years later. You know,
Yes.
12
And
people were.
it always seems to be the same names that come up. You know, you are far from the first person to talk about Kevin Spacey in this context, Bill Clinton in this context. You know, there seems to be a very just out there and known client list in many ways, which is why it's so horrible. But keep going.
I got on the airplane. He patted the chair next to him like this, and I mean, and I sat there. And then when the plane took off, he started touching me in between my legs. And I don't want to talk about this because it actually
Oh, you gotta kind of slow
stresses me out a
this
lot and
down.
makes
Can you
me
slow it down a little bit more and just go
Yeah,
back
I
a
was
little
gonna
bit
slow
because
that
I
part
ain't
down
catching
because
what
she's
she's
getting to
saying.
something good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He patted the chair next to him like this, and this on the film. He was filming like this.
But keep going.
I got on the airplane. He patted the chair next to him like this, and I went and I sat there. And then when the plane took off, he started touching me in between my legs. And I don't want to talk about this because that just freaks me out. It stresses me out a lot and puts me into panic. Because then I knew that they were going to try kill me if I didn't comply. And my name was not on that flight log. My name was on many other flight logs, but they left my name off that flight log. Sorry, can I have a cigarette break? And you ask me any other questions from here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Who was she talking about? Clinton did that?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, and of course, I sympathize with victims. I know, I used to work with people that's been victims of this kind of stuff, and I mean, she is really playing the role. She like twirling her hair, and she, I was saying, it remind me of, I don't know who she talking about, but I want to know how she knew they left her name off that flight log.
That's what I want to know.
Did they say, "Hey, we leaving her name out right in front of her"? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, that sounds a wee bit fishy right there. Did
Yeah.
she read the flight log after the plane took off, or
Right. I mean, if they're gonna do some suspicious stuff, they not about to tell you like, "Hey, leave her name off the flight." Like, come on. She like, they left my. They put it on all the other flight logs. I mean, did
Yeah,
she
she's
sign one day and
supposedly,
didn't sign another time, or what?
and this is supposedly her first time,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yep. This was her first time. And where was they
So,
going? Where were they going? Did she say?
I don't think she said.
She just got
I
on the
don't.
plane with
She
a
just
bunch of
got on.
dudes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
pretty much.
At 20, you don't know no better. You just like, oh, I'm so starstruck. I wouldn't even get on the plane with, I
No,
don't
she's
care
still
who.
trying to further her modeling career.
But okay, that's like, what's that show, Baddies or whatever? Like they be like, okay, come on, get on the plane with it. I don't care what show it is. I don't care if it's, I wouldn't care what star it is. It's still a man. It's still an odd situation. You got multiple men putting you on a plane just because they say, it's for your modeling career. Like, ain't no women on this mug. My
I
mama
don't
can't
think they the
go.
one said that.
I didn't hear her ever say what they said they were getting on a plane for.
She didn't, and she ain't talking about her modeling career now. She was talking about that for meeting them in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just jump the details. We need details. Like, he said that he was gonna fly me out to such and such so I can take pictures, or you know what I'm saying. They gonna take me for training. It was just like you went from meeting these stars to jumping on a plane with them, and
Right.
you don't
Now I
know why
doubt
you on
very
the plane.
seriously it was the same day too.
It's just odd. Okay, go ahead. I just was trying to get some clarity.
Okay.
100%. You're fine. You're fine. And again, this is why, before we started, I said any topics that you don't want to talk about, I'm down to not talk about them. And, certain details are yours and yours alone. So,
I'm happy. I will talk about everything, but it's just like,
yeah,
that's a specific time in my life. It's like, it was like very, very frightening.
yeah.
So it's easier to, and then you tell me any other questions and I'll keep going.
Yeah. I know that Epstein had many locations that his operation was, happening at. There's the island that most people know about. He had a place in Florida. He had a ranch in New Mexico. I guess we can start with just the most known location. What was your experience at the actual island?
Well, Blair, they actually took me to all the properties. I was taken to New York, Caribbean, Palm Beach, Paris, and New Mexico. They took me to all of those places. So we can definitely touch on, to speak about each one. The Caribbean, arriving there was very isolated, of course, and they had our passports, and we couldn't really get away. And the first day when I arrived there, because when they took me from New York, so we would land on, I don't know exactly which island it was. It was obviously St. Martin's or St. Bart's. I think it was St. Martin's, but I'm not sure. And then a helicopter would take us from there to the island. And when we were on the island, what would happen is we'd just be called to his bedroom, like in the day. Like we were never called there in the night, which I think it's, like people think there was like alcohol and drugs. There was nothing like that. Like, even as a smoker of cigarettes, like, I had to smoke far away from everyone. I never saw anyone drinking alcohol on the island ever. I never ever witnessed one person drink alcohol. But we'd be called to his bedroom like 3 times a day. And on the first day, it was just me. And then the next day, like another girl was brought in. And then she started giving him a blowjob in front of me when we were watching a movie, but I just ran away because I got such a fright.
Okay, I can't keep
So
up.
he sort of
It's going too fast. Who gave a blowjob?
Her friend.
So her friend was there too?
Well, maybe not her friend, but another girl that was called to his room too. Hold on, I'll back it up for you.
Mhm.
saw anyone drinking alcohol on the island ever. I never ever witnessed one person drink alcohol. But we'd be called to his bedroom like 3 times a day. And on the first day, it was just me. And then the next day, like another girl was brought in. And then she started giving him a blowjob in front of me when we were watching a movie. But I just ran away because I got such a fright. So he sort of used to see how far he could sort of push people, I guess. Sorry, I get anxious about this.
Yeah.
But you know, when we were taken to his bedroom, it was always pitch dark and ice cold. The temperature in there was ice cold, and it was like pitch dark. And yeah, and then he used to like force orgasms from like that's what he did to me. I don't know what he did to other people. And you know, his penis was actually very small. Sorry to bring this up, but you know, it was like the size of a mini lighter. It was very like just like frightening, like you know, yeah, it just really messed with my mind, to be honest. You know, like a lot of people want to judge girls who are taken there and stuff, but they don't know what it's like being kidnapped by the most evil.
Did she say it was frightening because it was small?
Did the lady cough as a sign? Because as soon as she coughed, she kind of changed the subject a bit. You know what I'm saying? She went to trying to, and it was really frightening, you know, whatever. She like got right off of that. She didn't even make.
People in the world, and people want to say I was a prostitute. I was never a prostitute. I've never been offered money for sex. I mean, I had someone try to marry me and plonk a 4 million rand, like a $400,000 diamond on my finger, and I told them no thanks, I don't want it. I'm not a prostitute, and I want people to understand that.
Do you keep in touch with
Wait, what
any
do a
of the other victims?
What do a prostitute got to do with somebody putting a $4,000 ring on your finger? Like I didn't get the parallel with how that meant. Was she trying to make a parallel?
She's
Like,
trying to say that she's turned down money before. I don't know. I
but
guess.
what money and prostitute? Like she said, a dude tried to marry her, not prostitute her. I was just trying to understand what her parallel
I
was. Like,
I don't get it. I guess maybe she think prostitutions have a marriage price.
okay, I just it just got to make sense to me. That's all. And that
Yeah,
didn't make no kind of sense. Like, I'm not a prostitute. A guy tried to marry me. I mean, was it a guy who loved you and cared about you and you turned it down to prove that you're not a prostitute? Do that really?
that's what she want people to understand is that she was not a prostitute. Okay.
So she turned down a marriage.
I'm not sure how that proves it, but
Well, that's
she
what I'm
sort
trying
of
to figure out. Right, right,
yeah, I don't think that proves it, but
right.
I'm trying to make a separation between how she's acting and the way
Yeah.
I've seen drug addicts act in the interview.
Right, right. Hey, I promise you, and you know, because people they believe whatever. I more break it down. I'm looking at her acting skills. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at all of that. I'm not saying he did or he didn't, but based on what I'm saying, I promise you, I want it to be like she got horrible acting skills or she over it just you grown like I don't know. She about what? I don't know how old she is. She look older. 50,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
that's how she look.
Yeah, 30 years later. You should have had counseling by now. You should not be acting like you 2 years old. I mean, seriously, because a lot of people have gone through traumas, you know. and don't act like this. So I'm trying to understand her character. I was thinking bad acting skills, but what you said made made sense too. like
Well,
you
she
like I
seems
need
to
a
be the only victim I saw acting like this.
no, okay. Yeah. Something just weird, but okay. It's very weird, honestly. Even if you
Yeah.
are a victim as a child, you know what I'm saying? Well, she wasn't even a child. She was what, 20?
Yeah, she was 20 when all this stuff began, so she wasn't no kid no more.
Right.
And
And
she seems to be extremely worried about what people think about the interview, what they're going to take away from it. You know, for her to even be saying stuff like that. I want people to understand I'm not a prostitute. You haven't even said, she hasn't even said anything that she's done sexually yet, other than getting groped on by somebody that was patting the chair next to them. But
right on the plane, touching her leg or whatever. She said the other girl did the blowjob and she ran. So,
right. So
I
maybe
mean,
she's gonna get to the part where we supposed to think she a prostitute.
yeah, let's see.
Okay.
because I think what's lost with the Epstein story
I'm gonna speed it up a little bit
is,
until they get to something good.
we
Okay,
hear a
make it
lot
little though.
from different
Okay.
politicians, whether they're using the topic to, be elected, a lot of them use it in their campaigns, and then they get in and they flip, which has been very disappointing. And we hear people talking about the people who may be on this client list, but there are over, if I'm not mistaken, over 1,000 known victims of the operation.
Nah, she
And
playing
so
crazy.
they aren't speaking out, and you can see the stakes, the high stakes, unfortunately.
She said thousand something victims and they aren't speaking out.
Hmm.
Why?
Why? Right. Especially now.
The
Right.
lovely woman Virginia, who came forward and has been one of the more known victims, she passed away recently after posting that she wasn't suicidal, and then lo and behold, God rest her soul, she gets hit by a truck.
Virginia and I used to speak, yeah, bus, yeah, but that was a lie. Virginia and I used to speak. We've done many video calls, much like I'm speaking with you now. I've spoken to her. We were on the phone together. But then about 2 years ago, I was told, she messaged me and she said that she's not going to be on her phone anymore, and I must get in touch with her through her husband's email address. But we sent a few emails back and forth, and then suddenly she just sort of like slowly, I didn't hear from her anymore. And I can also understand why, with she was being inundated, I'm sure, with people wanting to ask her questions and the whole thing, and also I think she ended up having to see get put on pills, as what I've heard. A lot of people who go through tremendous stress. When I got back from Epstein, I was put on 3 tranquilizers a day. I understand it. I don't do any pills anymore. This was 20 years ago.
I don't believe you.
They put me on 3 tranquilizers a day. That's why I'm also very anti-pharmaceuticals and things. But, I was in touch with, I'm still speaking to Maria Farmer, thank goodness. She's an amazing woman. Sarah Ransom and I used to speak, but not anymore. There've been some strange things going on with a lot of I used to speak to even like Michelle Lecarte. I've spoken to quite a lot of the victims over the years, but everyone's sort of numbers have changed and people have gone quiet. And it's just, I've spoken to Annie Farmer as well. She's an amazing woman. Only Maria and Annie are the only ones who I'm still like in touch with.
How do you feel about the Trump administration's statements this week about Epstein and the supposed client list? What are your thoughts on how our current government is handling it?
I think it's horrific, actually, especially when Trump gained presidency promising the list. And then now he's like, oh, why are we still talking about that guy? It's like, how stupid do they think we are? Right. What I want to say to Trump is much like he said to others on The Apprentice, you're fired. Well, he should be fired. And Pam Bondi, well, hasn't Kash Patel and Bongini, apparently they're going to retire. I mean, not retire. They're going to resign. Yeah, well, they should. I mean, and apparently 2,000 people who work for NASA also resigned in the past week.
That's interesting. From NASA?
Yeah, they're saying it's because of pay cuts. Yeah, look it up online. They say it's because of pay cuts. I don't think so. Yeah, 2,000 of the senior people at NASA are apparently resigning. The FBI are resigning. Why?
Right. I completely agree with you. I think it's been so disappointing as an understatement.
I think that as a victim, I would be not just even concerned about the prior administration because they said they would bring it out. I think I would be kind of like, even whatever the case is right now, we'll see what happens, but at least they're addressing it versus the prior administrations. That's where my biggest problem would be as a victim, I would think. What about you?
I would have been outraged if it had happened to me. I would have been outraged from the beginning.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like everybody would be in this. Like not just Trump. It's like y'all just sat and brought up Trump because he brought it out. Thank God he brought it out. Because had he not brought it out, even if they don't release a client list, he is addressing it right now today, where all of these prior administrations ain't be a jack. So you've been sitting here all of these years as a victim, and these other prior presidents haven't brought up anything. The
Right.
prior
This wasn't an
administration,
issue last year.
right, or the year before that, or the year you were 20 and you well beyond 20. You're not saying nothing about the prior administrations and how it came all the way to Trump before it was ever even brought up.
Right.
And you focused on that instead of saying, well, let's go back to the prior, because all of these years that I've been a victim, nobody has ever even addressed it. You know
Thank
what I'm
you.
saying?
That's, in my opinion,
That's
that's what a
odd.
real victim would be saying. Look,
You're right.
at least he tried.
Exactly. And I would be saying too, forget a client's list. I am the victim. It's about me and what I say. Forget a client's list. I would
Right.
be as a victim, I think I would be saying, forget the list. Talk to
With
the
the
actual
victim,
victim.
you don't need a list
Exactly.
because the victim can tell you who did it. Like
Exactly.
right now, right just then, a minute ago, I noticed she said somebody was patting a chair. She said he. She didn't name a
Mm-hmm.
name, so we don't know
Mm-hmm.
who was touching her, even though
Mm-hmm.
if she didn't complain, she was grown. I'm just saying, she didn't name them. She
Mm-hmm.
said she was
And
20
I
years
told
old.
you,
So,
now that we got to that part, I told you, yeah. Isn't that what I told you? That she didn't
yep,
name anybody other than Epstein?
right,
So she
right.
verified
She
that.
named all these other people was there, but she didn't say anybody did anything to her.
But she also said, in what I was reading to you, but we wanted her to say it, but she didn't say that they did anything to her or was even there when this was being done to her. She said they were like Clinton. She said he was at a event, not him assaulting her.
Right.
And then this lady that's interviewing was like, yeah, Stacey Spacek and such, but she never tied them into anything. That's her talking.
Exactly. That's my point. She's not giving us anything incriminating
Right.
yet
And
anyway.
she still hasn't, right, I was going to say, and so far, she still hasn't done anything sexual.
Right. That's what I'm listening for. I'm
Right.
waiting for her to tell where the assault happened.
And she never said how old that other girl was either, who's supposed to have gave him the blowjob.
Right. Well, she probably didn't know, but
I
the
mean, you were there on the island with her. I'm sure that wasn't the first day unless they flew her in and flew her out. She said that
well,
she was being held.
if she was 20, the girl was probably, we don't know. The girl might have been underage, but
Right,
what she said was the girl uh gave fellatio willingly.
right.
She did
But I
say
mean,
that.
I'm sure if the girl was underage, she probably been like, and she had to be underage, or she was, or she just didn't even address it. She just said that, and
That's what
that's
I
as
was getting
far.
at. She didn't note that the girl was underage and doing it willingly. She just said that the girl did it,
Right.
which, is still
She could have
that's
been
not
20. She
illegal.
could have been 22, 25. Right.
And to my knowledge, that's not an assault unless she's assaulting him.
Right. All right.
Right?
Let's see what else. Yep. Yep.
I think it's very insulting. You know, specifically the way that Trump spoke about it. You know, are you still talking about this guy? As if there's something inappropriate or strange or incorrect about
Yes.
inquiring about justice for you and these other victims, and to know the truth about the people running this world. You know, for me, I've always, you know, known that he was connected to Epstein, as so many powerful people are. But this week has really solidified that even if he is not, you know, someone who has committed crimes through Jeffrey Epstein, he definitely is someone who is too ashamed of whatever relation they had being outed. And it's just really, really insane to be able to say that we live in a country that is covering up for pedophiles. But sadly, actually, it's not that insane, because this has been going on forever. So it's just more proof that we really can't vote ourselves out of this, you know, situation. I don't think there is a political solution for this. I think there's only, my personal opinion, a spiritual solution to this. And, you know, until we get it together as a society, I just don't know what's going to be the future of this. But you're absolutely justified in thinking that it's horrific the way they've handled it, from the top to the bottom, from Pam Bondi all the way up to Trump. It's been very, very scary. Do you think why do you think Trump is joining in the line of other presidents who have chose to keep this a secret? Why is he hiding the Epstein files?
Well, I think they all really work together if you think about it. Epstein actually told me he was friends with Donald Trump. You know, when I was taken to Palm Beach and we drove past Mar-a-Lago, he told me that his friend Donald Trump owned Mar-a-Lago. So, you know, I think these people, they all run in the same circles. You know, it's much like
But was he there?
if people who live in New York or people who live.
She said she was trafficked to all of the spots. Was Trump ever there?
I bet you he wasn't.
Exactly. She's
I
like,
hate to
I
say
think
it.
they were friends, and I think this, and I think, but you
She
were the
talking about they
victim,
passed
remember?
by and he said, we're buddies. Okay. I don't think that part's illegal.
Exactly. But was he there? Did he do anything to you? Was he there on the scene when this was happening? You went to all, she said she went to about 4 or 5 different places. Was
Mm-hmm.
Trump there? Was anybody there? You know what I'm saying? You could sit here and speculate as the victim, but you're the victim. So the victim should know, right?
That's right.
Okay,
She
so
should know who was at all these places, and she should know who traveled with him.
and she should know who did what to her. If you mention, who is it, Stacy, Spacek, whatever, what are you mentioning them for? Were they on the island trafficking you, or are you just mentioning their names? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like she one of us playing a victim or something.
That's how it seems to me. Like I'm still waiting for her to say something that they did that was
Yeah.
illegal.
Yeah, like they're like, yeah, and you're justified for that. She haven't even said nothing happened other than she went to the island, he touched her leg, she went to the island, and another girl did something.
Right.
And
Whoever
this
he is that touched her
right,
leg.
right. And we don't know why she got on that plane, where she thought she was going, who she got on the plane with.
Right. Right. I don't know. Maybe she's gonna get to her, where the assault actually happened
I
to
wish
her
she'd hurry
somewhere
up
in
and
the
get to it,
interview.
because they talking about everything but why she's a victim. Like, I thought this was about the victim. This is turning into a Trump, he's this and that and this and that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
They
Trump
keep trying to
rhetoric.
tie Trump into it.
Right. It's like, is that what this is about? Because you done jumped to Trump and we haven't even heard what the heck happened to you.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And this is what
This is what?
I said, and this is 20 minutes into the video.
Yeah, exactly. We 20 minutes in. Now, mind you, she's been interviewed before. And I know this ain't the first interview, but she can't be assuming that, people seen her interview, if there is one where she told what happened to her. That's what I'm looking for.
Right, but did she tell what happened to her, or did she just throw up names? Because, like they said, it was people on those flights. Are you just throwing out names that was on those flights, or I want to know which ones did what to you?
That's what I'm looking for. What happened to
Exactly.
you and who did it?
Right, right.
that'll
not
give
your
us a
rhetoric.
client list if you was actually trafficked. But in order to
Yeah.
be trafficked, don't somebody have to get paid for you being there?
And then if you trafficked, who you trafficked to who? Just Epstein? Because you only talked about like
Exactly. She's only talking about being with Epstein.
hmm
Like, did Epstein do it? Did Epstein
did he
assault?
forcefully put you on that plane?
Did he assault thousands of girls, and now somehow politicians is trying to blame politicians for his assaults?
Right.
Like the other victim, that's what she said. Epstein assaulted her. So this one too, it seems like that's what she's getting to. So
Right.
Epstein assaulted her. So
Right.
is this why we don't have a client list? Maybe Epstein was the client.
Right.
So far that's all I have is Epstein was the client.
Right. Maybe the victims were the client.
I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt until she actually say it,
Right.
and that's why I keep speeding it up. Because I'm hoping
20
she's going
minutes
to
in.
eventually get to it.
You're right. Well, let's see.
Okay.
In London, if you're going to the bars and restaurants where the wealthier sort of contingent are going, you're going to run into these people, And I just think it's absolute bullshit that Donald Trump gained presidency and now he's saying, "Who is that man? Why are we talking about him?" Well, there are photos of him and Trump laughing together at the party that Trump held with all the girls around. There are many photos of them all together. The only person that there's no photo of Epstein with, as far as these high-powered people goes, is Elon Musk. There's no photo of Elon Musk with Epstein. I know there's a photo of Musk with Maxwell. But at the end of the day, they all know each other.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking for myself,
What did she just say
I did vote
about
for
Elon
Trump.
being with
And
Maxwell? But what?
But they all know each other. She was saying that there's no photos with Elon being with Epstein,
Buddy with Maxwell.
but he was
Wasn't
with
she a part of
Maxwell.
the right? Wasn't they charged for
I
the
wonder
same
why
thing?
she's
Wasn't
saying that. Was she trying to
right.
sort of lighten the load on Elon or something? Was that an attempt to sort of exonerate Elon, or what was that?
Right. You saying that Trump was at the party with Epstein, but Elon was with Maxwell, but like
She didn't even say
this
she was at that party though. Like everybody know Trump was at that party because it was footage. They just showed the footage. We've been seeing that footage, but was
but this
she at that
party,
party?
not the island.
Yeah, was she at that party? Well, they could have had a Diddy room, but I'm waiting for
But
her
she
to talk
said
about
on the island.
it. Is this where that party was? She done skipped off of the island. She talking about someplace else now.
Well, it must have not been on the island because
They
she
don't have no
taking up
proof that Trump ever went to the island though,
right,
because he was on the flight logs, but his flights didn't go to the island.
right. But the
And
way she just said that with Elon, like you just bashed Trump for being
yeah,
at the party. Oh, and he got a picture with Epstein. Okay. Well, how is Maxwell any different?
I mean, like as a victim, why is she even talking about stuff that's in the media?
Right, but and then you talking about them being at a party. Well, Elon was at the same party as them. Why was he there? Why was he taking pictures?
I
What's
mean,
wrong with
like,
the pictures?
so we already established that everybody knew him.
Right.
What's the big whoop about being at his parties if people don't know he a pedophile at the time?
Hey,
I'm
all these
still
people was
waiting
at
for the
Diddy
proof that
parties.
he's a pedophile, though. I'm still waiting for the proof. Like that one girl said she was 14, but she hasn't offered up any proof on that. Like the
Right.
things she was doing at the time is not becoming of a 14-year-old. She had a whole lot of time to spend with him.
And
Like
is this what the files are made of? A bunch of people accusing them with no proof? Is that what the
it
files? Is that why the
that's
files
what
are
they were
possibly a
saying. That's
hoax?
why they not
Because
releasing them, because it's a whole lot of bullshit on people that is gonna make other
that's
people think
not
that.
proven.
Yeah, it's not, it's their names are mentioned. It's not that they actually committed any crimes. They don't have any evidence of any crimes on these files.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. She ain't even giving us nothing. And if the victims can't give you nothing other than Epstein, then what is a piece of paper gonna give you?
Right.
You don't have any witnesses. Where's the witnesses to the crimes?
Right.
She hasn't even witnessed her own crime yet.
Right.
Not to us. She's not talking about it. Like we waiting for her to get through it. Like she's
Right.
halfway through the interview already and
Right.
ain't talked about it.
Yeah, and this woman that's doing the interviewing is making me question her and her motive because it's like you sitting here like, oh yeah, you haven't proved or said anything worth anything.
Right. Like are we supposed to listen to this interview with the understanding that she already knows information about it and they just trying to steer us emotionally and we just got to take her word for it that she's a victim? I don't
Right.
even know how she's a victim of what?
And then why are
Or is
you
she
on
just a
Trump?
survivor?
And why are you on Trump before you even get the story out?
Right. Why are you even talking about Trump? Like because okay, he's downplaying everything and calling everything a hoax? That
It's
pisses you
like
off
it
now?
is being a hoax. If you ask me, with the rate that it's going, like this interview seemed like a hoax because
They're not doing a very good job of proving that it's not.
right,
Like as long as these files been around and as much stuff that has been released off of them, who released the flight list?
it was it
Wasn't
the
that
DO,
Trump?
yeah, the DOJ, the Bondi and
Under what
Patel.
administration was the flight logs released?
I believe it was Trump's. Yeah, it was.
So if he's releasing information, how is he not releasing information?
Well, she just made it clear that they didn't even put her on one of the flight logs, her very first one at that. They didn't put her on there. So what makes you think the clients' names are going to be on the list? If they leave this, why would they leave you off unless they trying to cover up something? So wouldn't that mean that the client list may not have the clients on there, or there may not be
Well,
a
if they
list?
smart enough to not put her on the flight log, wouldn't they be smart enough to not put clients on a client list?
That's my point. I'm glad. Thank you for putting it like that. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying all along. These ain't no dummies. These is high.
Why we trusting in a list if you just said that they didn't even put you on a list?
No, they still looking for a list. Like the only evidence they have that there was a client list is just Pam Bondi's slip up. Nobody ever said there was a client list. They've been looking for it. And I do believe the general public has been waiting all this time because we assumed that they were looking through his hard drives and things for a client list. But she's giving breadcrumbs. If these
Hmm.
people are smart enough to not put her on the flight log and that scared her and made her think that they was going to kill her, why would they put anybody on a quote unquote client list if they
Right.
really trying to cover their tracks?
Right.
It would be stupid like for him to say for Epstein to even have a list that says client list for underage girls. Like if
Right.
they did found a list of names that said client list, what would they assume that it was clients for? And how could they prove that it was clients for sex trafficking?
Right.
They couldn't. Even if you had a list, that list would have to explain the details of how it's a trafficking list.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Which
Hmm.
would not be on a list.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why would that be on a list?
Right.
Pimps don't keep no list, do they?
Sure.
I
His
wonder if
attorney even said that. But you know what I noticed is the the left media was the one that kept mentioning that client list. They the ones. It was like specifically client list. That's all they kept talking about.
yeah, it's like they came up with that plan after Elon had his tantrum.
Hmm.
They know a client list didn't exist, but like I was saying, that I do believe that is this party's way of trying to uh, knock the steam out of Trump. Like they still talking about this and not any of his accomplishments. They talking about, all the stuff that he promised to do and didn't do, as if this is the end of his presidency and he just 6 months in.
Right.
What do that tell you? Like
Yeah.
he didn't do that. He said Mexico was gonna pay for the wall. He said all, they talking about all the stuff that he said he was gonna do and hasn't done yet, as if he's not gonna be president next month. Like he ain't got 3.5 more years to do all this stuff. That makes it obvious that it's basically it's a political tantrum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that based on the fact that he was promising to release the Epstein files and, disclosure about other topics, by the way, and he's really failed on all of those. He disclosed only a fraction of the Kennedy files that still left people with a big question mark as to what happened, even though many of us obviously know through our own research.
Why are we talking
He
about the
promised
Kennedy
to release-
files?
Because he actually released it. And they
but
like saying, so what?
she's like only a fraction of the Kennedy files. That don't have why are we talking about why are we taking why are we taking it off of the victim right now? You get what I'm saying? Like if this is about her, why are we focusing on everything else right now? And she still haven't even proved her point.
No, the interview is called Exposing Everyone and Everything, but they keep going back to Trump. It seems like Trump is the only target.
Right. Bashing Trump bashing.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about the JFK files. Let's keep it on the subject.
But how she know it was only part of the files?
Why do we care when we haven't heard this woman's what
Yeah, that's not what this interview is about.
exactly?
Yeah, she all off topic talking about the JFK files.
Right.
But he still released them like he said, and I didn't know that it was only part. And from what the part that was released, we know what happened.
Exactly.
Like what more do
Nobody is complaining about it.
Yeah, like are we supposed to be trying to figure out where they got the cars from, where they got the Lincoln from? Like, come on, we know all parties involved and we know who did it.
Right.
It wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right.
Damn it. And she bringing that shit up.
Right.
What was up with the drones in the sky? And that's something that people skip
the drones.
over.
What happened with that? That's exactly what I said recently. Everyone just forgot about it.
That's one of the.
Now we got a supposed victim talking about conspiracy theories.
She done perked up now.
Yeah, you seen that? She got real excited.
She ain't smoking and twirling her hair and stuff. No, she just put that on when
wow.
You messed up.
Mm-hmm.
You just even talking about any of this stuff should have you still twirling your hair and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Bad actor. Actress.
Yeah.
Seriously. For real.
Stories that is insane because we have a right to know if there's strange sky vehicles, on both coasts of our country and what those are and if that's a threat.
In New Mexico, I saw Epstein.
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I saw in New Mexico, I saw a UFO in the sky. And then I've got that flashback weird memory waking up in a laboratory with 6 people in hazmat suits around me and a female doctor. And I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed and I was naked and I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. And then this doctor came near my head and she said, "Don't worry, everything's okay." And I was out again. And I also saw Epstein shapeshift on the island. That was before this happened.
What?
Yeah, what?
What did you say? Let's go back.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said recently. Everyone just forgot about it.
That's one of those stories that is insane because we have a right to know if there's strange sky vehicles, on both coasts of our country and what those are and if that's a threat.
In New Mexico, I saw Epstein.
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I saw in New Mexico, I saw a UFO in the sky. And then I've got that flashback weird memory waking up in a laboratory with 6 people in hazmat suits around me and a female doctor, and I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed and I was naked and I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. And then this doctor came near my head and she said, "Don't worry, everything's okay." And I was out again. And I also saw Epstein shapeshift on the island. That was before. This happened in New Mexico.
What? So Epstein is a shapeshifter now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What? Okay. All right, all right, all right. I mean, Epstein is a shapeshifter.
So
I wonder if she had a competency evaluation.
When I was on the island, I saw Epstein like suddenly, and people have actually asked some pretty good questions recently. It wasn't like I saw him turning like the Incredible Hulk. What happened is, it was when I was taken in the bedroom the one time, and he had like a blanket up to here. And then I looked away and I looked at him, and suddenly it wasn't him anymore. It wasn't like I saw him turning. It was like it was him. And I looked away, and then when I
This is her drawing of
And you know where
Epstein.
she said that on right? What interview?
No.
Call Me Daddy podcast.
What? Wow.
Mhm.
What would she be doing on there? I guess the same thing.
Same thing Kamala was doing on there.
Yeah.
back, it wasn't him. It was this weird creature. And then I looked away, and then I looked back, and it was him again. And I can't really explain that. I mean, I can explain it as well as I can, and I can understand. Do you know what? If someone else told me this, like I keep saying, I wouldn't believe it. I totally
No.
wouldn't. I'd be like, okay, this person's either mad or they were on drugs or something. But the
And
problem is that I saw it, and I wasn't on drugs, like as far as I know.
100%.
As far as you know, you weren't on drugs?
And
Wouldn't you know? Like, I mean,
Yeah, maybe somebody spiked her drink and she didn't know. Maybe that's what she's trying to say.
why
But
would she would say she had a drink and right after she had a drink she felt weird or something?
she's saying she was straight sober.
She's right. Remember, she said there was no alcohol or anything like that on the island.
Right. So far as she know, nobody was doing any drugs or alcohol, but Epstein was shape-shifting.
Hmm. Do you know where she's done her videos at? I mean, you know what I'm saying, her like, has she gone on Joe Rogan or any of the real, like, or
I'm
are
sure
all of
she's done
these
the
just
other
like,
interviews before.
so it says like podcasts. Let me see. Podcast appearances. Infowars. What is that?
That is Infowars is your boy, the conspiracy theorist, the one that got
IT
sued.
podcast. Like, she never really did a real. It don't list any real interviews she done. It's like podcasts,
Hmm.
Infowars.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and play it because there's other victims,
Okay.
and I wanna try to give as many of them as possible a listen to to see what
Mhm.
they talking about.
Yeah.
They deserve to be heard, right?
Mhm.
If they really victims,
Right.
I'm waiting for her to tell her story still. Like
Right. Right.
she's
Go ahead.
she's telling her adventure, but she ain't really. She ain't talking about the crime or the criminal activity. I'm still waiting to hear something criminal.
Me
I
too.
just heard a wild accusation. Now Epstein
Right.
is a shapeshifter.
Right.
He a shapeshifter that was locked up in prison and hung himself on a midget bed.
Right.
And just so you know where I stand, I don't think that people's unwillingness to believe something that sounds fantastical, or I don't think that people being unable to go there in their head and really believe you, I think that has zero relevance to whether or not it actually happened. I do believe you. And, this is an insane world with technology we're not allowed to know about. The explanation, one of the explanations could be a technology. And maybe he did that to instill more fear in you. And, when it comes to the occult, which when we're talking about shape shifting, that would fall under that sort of category. But, occult just means hidden. If people think that this word means something different, it means hidden by definition. And technology can absolutely be occulted. So there's occult technology, there's occult,
You're right.
there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of explanations for why you could have seen Jeffrey Epstein shapeshift. And I believe you 1000%. I in my
Thank you.
life,
I don't believe you.
I have had experiences that if I were to say them out loud in the way that you just did, different things, but if I were to say them out loud, people would say that I sound crazy. And so that's how I know that nothing is off the table. So let's talk about that. This is the part of your story and of other victim stories that I've heard and read about, this occult aspect, this strange spiritual reason for why they were doing so many evil things on this island and other locations. What do you
Yeah.
know, or what did you experience related to their occult beliefs or spiritual beliefs that might differ from what people typically think of as, regular belief systems or religions to have?
Well, you see, a lot was hidden from us when we were there, and but over the years, after everything that's happened, obviously I never spoke about what happened. I couldn't even tell my family about what had happened. But when Epstein died and reporters started contacting me, I was given more time to sort of process, the trauma. It was like, when you just so petrified that you just compartmentalize it, you put it away, and you keep going, like in a frantic. I realize I've been in a sort of frantic trauma ever since then. But when they gave me the settlement money, I had time to sort of step off the hamster wheel of life, and I wanted to figure out for myself what happened, because of
And
all the
by the
things.
way, I don't want you to forget what you're saying, but you just brushed past something very important, and I think people need to know about your story, is that you received $1 million, if I'm not mistaken, settlement over this. And so anybody who wants to doubt your story or aspects of your story, you have been paid out for this, and thank God. But
I got 2 settlements, in fact. One from the Epstein estate and also one from JP Morgan.
That don't make
So
the
the one
story
was
legit.
$900,000 from the Epstein estate.
Wow.
And then JP Morgan had to pay out $1 million.
Yeah.
But apparently there was no human trafficking going on. But they paid that money because of human trafficking. They paid $290 million to the victims for human trafficking.
Right.
Which shows you that they're doing something else. And that's what we're getting to here, is that these people are up to a lot more. And when I had time to sort of learn to breathe again, and I saw therapists. My brother helped pay for me to see therapists, and an ex-boyfriend helped. I've had a lot of amazing people help me through the way, which I think a lot of victims haven't had. So I just started doing more research just for myself. I actually wanted to just draw it,
her settlement wasn't from a traditional verdict. She accepted it under a compensation program. They say it provided victims the option to resolve claims against Epstein's estate without going through lengthy public court proceedings. So it doesn't mean that, what I'm saying, it wasn't
Still don't
proven.
imply criminal activity.
Exactly. She didn't have to prove it. You know what I'm saying? If you file a
No, when you're
claim,
talking about something like that, and the people you talking about, Epstein and Chase,
yeah,
that if all they gave you was 900,000 and $1 million, that's not much of a claim for what's actually going on.
right. And just
You know,
because they settle don't mean, like, people don't want their name. You know what I'm saying? If I had a
yeah, they might
establishment,
just be paying her just to, just shut up and quit,
yeah, like you liar, they could have been like, you lying heifer, but you know what I'm saying? In order not to be putting their name out there, making their business look bad and
Right.
stuff
To
like
get rid of
that.
the bad publicity. It don't mean it's true.
Exactly. Right. Because
Like
of who they are.
I'm still waiting on her to say what happened to her. Like,
Me
and we
too.
more than halfway through the interview
Right,
now.
right. I guess she don't have to because she got a lawsuit, you know what I'm saying,
Well,
which she
according to
didn't.
what she just said, the proof is in the settlement offer,
Yeah, exactly.
not in what happened to her. It's the fact that they gave her some money,
Right.
which I don't get that.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have
And
given me anything if nothing happened to me.
this
That's a
was
bad
worse
place to
than,
start.
yeah, this was worse than, you know, she didn't have to do a trial for them to prove guilt or innocence. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So was anybody convicted for doing anything to her?
Exactly.
On the
No.
police boards, they draw a map, and they're like, in the middle you'd have Epstein, then you'd have CIA, then you'd have Clinton. You know what I mean? Those sorts of boards where you write it all. I started writing it all down to try and figure it out, and I realized there was too much to write on just a board. I did it on a piece of paper, and then I realized I had to sort of put it all in a book. So I just started writing and putting stuff together, and so basically I just started gathering information, and the more and more I figured out, the more and more frightening it got. Because when I came back from there, I didn't know they were taking my eggs or anything like that. But after
They were
being
taking
back,
your eggs.
What?
I think it's very, very likely because of everything
She said she think it's very, very likely. Oh, come on now.
that
I wouldn't
happened,
even
and
do
also Epstein.
I wouldn't even do an interview with a person like this. You know what I'm saying? Like what type of uh 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 what is the word? What type of desperate is this show right here? Like you would have to be way more reputable. What you saying gotta make some kind of sense. You gotta show some proof, something. Like, I mean, what the heck? This is the craziest interview I ever
Right.
experienced for real in my life with anybody.
Right. She's
Seriously.
giving off straight up cray cray.
Seriously. And the host, the podcaster, whatever she is too, because this really was worth you putting out to prove what? Like, or was it just so you could throw the stuff in about Trump and his administration and how horrible they are, so you could just have something to so-called verify your hate for Trump? You know what I'm saying?
That's what it seemed
Because,
like. It seemed more like smear campaigning. And
huh?
it seems more like smear campaigning.
Exactly. I mean, we done went to makeshifting and Trump and his administration and how horrible in the pictures and Elon, but Elon wasn't, he was with Maxwell, but he wasn't this and it. Like, nobody cares what you got to say about it, your opinion of it. Tell us that these people were or were not there, and tell us what Epstein did to you. Because I still, where we at on this video, 30 minutes in. We only got
More than
17 more
halfway.
minutes.
Yep.
And she
Or what
still have
anybody
not
did to you.
said, right. What is this video proving? Literally, like we
That's what
just
I
supposed to
want to
take
know.
your word, and your word ain't even making sense because you still ain't said that this man did nothing to you at all. You got on the plane with him. You didn't say he forced you on there. You didn't say he forced you into sex. You didn't say. You just said a girl gave him a blowjob right in front of your face, and you ran. And now we
Right.
on Trump and makeshifting and we're for how many minutes? 30, pretty much almost 30 minutes in.
Right. She ran
And
from
you a
that
victim.
incident. She ran from that incident, but she came back for it to for something else to happen. Because that was obviously
You done been
before.
on all these islands.
Right. But that was when she first got to the island. That was before her assault. That was before she was assaulted, right?
Right.
After she was groped on the plane and before she was actually assaulted herself. But,
Right.
seeing this stuff, you have to know it's coming, right?
Okay,
If
well,
it's coming,
right.
you would have to know it's coming at some point, or you would know it's possible, and you would probably stop hanging out with these people.
And I would be asking questions as the interviewer. I would be asking questions, even to the 14-year-old. If you saw what he did, and you was able to go home, even if you didn't mention it to nobody else, why would you come back?
My point exactly. And
Why
I
would you?
think that's what,
Why are they not asking these hard questions?
because I think that's why they call these soft interviews. Is because she's
Right,
not really,
podcast.
yeah, she
Yeah,
ain't really she ain't cross-examining her like,
exactly. Go on
um,
Joe Rogan, somewhere where they gonna really question you and make you prove the validity of what you saying and make it make sense and all of that. Like you sitting here, you got like let her talk. You shouldn't even really be saying nothing. Let her tell her story. You guiding her. They guiding these people and giving
when
the
is she gonna
leading
ask her to
questions.
tell what physically happened to her though?
That's what I'm saying. Literally,
Ready?
literally.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Gave me like a pelvic exam before I was sent home the one time.
What?
Wait,
Oh,
what she say?
When I came back from there, I didn't know they were taking my eggs or anything like that. But
They
after
were
being
taking
back,
your eggs.
well, I think it's very, very likely because of everything that happened, and also Epstein gave me like a pelvic exam before I was sent home the one time.
Epstein gave her a pelvic exam.
Oh, Dr. Epstein, huh?
Exactly. The island of Dr. Epstein now.
I didn't see any girls being trafficked to other men. The only people I met
You didn't see what?
there were
Any
like
other girls
scientists
being
and Michael.
trafficked to any other men?
Yeah, right. I thought that's what I heard her say. Um, I'm still waiting for her to be trafficked now. She just said she didn't see nobody else being trafficked. She didn't
Right.
even say at that point in time. So okay, so now all we waiting for her to speak on is just what happened to her then, right?
Right. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Anything like that. But
They
after
were
being
taking
back,
your eggs.
well, I think it's very, very likely because of everything that happened, and also Epstein gave me like a pelvic exam before I was sent home the one time. I didn't see any girls being trafficked to other men. The only people I met there were like scientists and Michael Bay, the movie producer who made the movie The Island about cloning. I met Michael Bay there in
Wow.
2004 in New Mexico. And he denied being there because I did it. None of the media would ever put my story out there, which is what's obviously happened with a lot of other victims. But an amazing girl from the Daily Beast called Kate Brickley wrote my story down, and she actually contacted Michael Bay's people, and they said no, he's never met Epstein, he's never been there, but he was there, he's lying. And I know, and I can even tell you that when I was taken to LA after all this, and he tried to take me back to his house also. So if he wants to lie further, then I'll expose him further. You know what I mean? And I'm not scared of them anyway. Well, I am a little, as we all are, but I'm like, if we're all scared of them, then when's the truth ever going to come out? Because we've got to realize there's more of us than there are of them. So anyway, going back to The Island, the movie about the cloning, it's got Scarlett Johansson in it. When I watched that movie again, I realized it looks like all the clones are escaping from a place that looks like New Mexico. So I suddenly realized maybe Michael Bay was at Epstein's property doing research. Because when I met Michael Bay and scientists there, I would see them on the tops of the properties. I'd see them there, but I'd never really see them again. I'd meet them like once or twice. And then I'd never see the rooms they were staying in or anything, and it made me realize that there's very likely something underneath there. And also because I saw him turn into that thing. It's just and the UFO that I saw, that was while Michael Bay was staying there in New Mexico when I saw that and had that flashback waking up in a laboratory. And just after after just digging and digging and digging, I realized, if these bastards really do drink blood, if they really do kill children, it would make sense for them to have their own farm of humans. And it's much like shows like Westworld. It's possible. And just one more thing before you speak, Blair. So Blair,
She is sounding more and more like conspiracy theorist.
Promise you, I was, as soon as I seen you stopped, I was gonna say shit, conspiracy theorist now.
Right. And much, much less like a victim.
Right. This is
In
all.
1996, they cloned a sheep, Dolly the sheep, and they made it publicly announced it. And then guess who banned federal use of funds for human cloning? Bill Clinton banned federal funds being used for human cloning because everyone was waiting for humans to be cloned, and but if they were cloning a sheep 30 years ago, God knows what they can do now, basically. And they could like replace their hearts, their livers. Like a lot of people, like Paris Hilton, she's got 2 babies, but she didn't really have them. Maybe a human clone underneath had them. I mean, where's the surrogate? I'm sorry, that might be
Yes.
going a bit too far. But
No, it's
sorry.
not. It's really not going too far, because you're absolutely right. Anyone who thinks this sounds, off the beaten path or crazy should really just do a minimal amount of research on where cloning technology was, like you said, even in the 90s. And so who would be, attached to advanced cloning projects? Rich people, elite people, powerful people, presidents. Like, it's not as if you're saying that the car repair shop down the street doubled as a human cloning center underneath. You're saying that people who have the funds, the means, and the interest in doing all of these things were doing it. So it's 100% believable to me. And, I hate that we live in a world where you have to even apologize for the truth and say, sorry if it sounds this way. And then we have a government that is bold-faced lying, and people will believe them, but people will hesitate to believe the victims when they're telling.
Wait a goddamn minute.
They fail to believe the victims that
Wait a goddamn minute. At some point, it's gonna have to make sense.
yeah, right.
Now they done got into cloning and
Yeah.
clone aid and all of that. Now wait a goddamn minute. Why then are they not just sexually assaulting the clones and leaving the people alone? They can just make their own clones and just sexually assault them. Do you think the clones would have a problem with it?
Right. No, I don't think so.
Or am I going too far with that idea? Like, why wouldn't they just make the clones and sexually assault the clones? I kind of feel crazy asking that question.
Wait, what was your question again?
Do I need to see a psychiatrist?
About them doing it to the clones instead?
Why wouldn't they just sexually assault the clones or essay the clones
Mm-hmm.
and leave the young girls and the people from the real world alone?
Right.
Do I need a psychiatrist?
I probably need one too in that case, because I feel the same way. Like,
Am I losing my mind here?
hey, sometimes when you talking to listening to mental people, it kind of make you, that's why. Hey, I worked a job, 2 jobs with them type of people, and I promise you, I tried to stay away. At one job, I stayed away as much as possible. And the other one, it was just like woosah.
Like, do the clones not have genitals to be groped like she do?
I mean, but you talking about the groping on the airplane?
Yeah, like I'm
'Cause,
just
I mean,
saying,
did we
like,
ever get to the other stuff?
how they accusing these people of doing both? Like she done accused them of being blood drinkers, and I guess she ain't mentioned adrenochrome yet, but she just might. The way she's going, she just might. And like she done turned she done turned from a victim, a survivor, to an investigator now. And she doing a whole lot of speculating. Like
But
now
it's
she's
like, okay, I'm the victim, so that qualifies me to tell you all of this stuff.
it qualifies her to speculate out that far. Like they was
But I'm
harvesting her
saying that's just
eggs.
like, yeah, that's just like,
And
I'm gonna tell
she's
you.
saying she ain't got no proof of that, and she don't really know, but she thinks it's quite possible they could have been harvesting her eggs.
Yeah, but it's a real dimwit way to say. That's just like I'm giving you an example on TikTok when we do live or whatever. We get people that come in there and be like, "Yeah, I just graduated from such and such." Now they just graduated, but you don't got you haven't started working in that field, nothing. But they tell you that right off the bat to give them credit, which is to me to don't say nothing. You know, it's like me saying, I just graduated nursing school, but I haven't gotten the field yet and actually worked with it. I haven't seen it. I haven't witnessed it or whatever. But I'm telling you, I just got out of nursing school so that you will believe me. So you would give me credit, even though credit ain't due. You know
I
what I'm
get what
saying?
you're saying. You saying
Yeah.
her credentials is her victim card.
Yeah. Her so called victim card, even
Her
though you ain't
so-called
really
victim card.
proved it. Right.
Right.
But you just gave that. You like, I'm a victim, so that you could put in all this other stuff and dumb people would believe you. And I'm just flat out say it. Flat out say it. Because this woman that's doing the interview, like, you a part of an agenda. This is what I see. You are a part of an agenda. Literally. If I just gotta base anything on this one video, the first victim I ever saw, literally, this did not convince me. And you saying that this makeshift stuff, this drinking blood, whatever, this video, because you supposed to be a victim, did not convince me. Like, you got to be brain dead to be convinced
In
based
fact,
on this video.
this is the first interview you saw of the first and the first victim you saw, or the first interview of the first victim you saw.
Yeah.
I think the victims would lose some credibility right here with this interview.
Yeah, well, the other one, the 14-year-old too, because it's like you can get anybody to tell a story. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but we don't have any proof to your story. Like, when do we start convicting people, period, of anything without going through a trial, without, some proof, some picture? Like, this chick right here just showed a picture of her at a beach or something in a car or whatever. What did
Uh-huh.
that prove?
Nothing.
Epstein wasn't in it. It was no sexual nothing in it. It was
Exactly.
no, like, what did that picture prove? And you was smiling like you was having a good time.
Right.
So
And
what
all
did
these
that
victims keep
prove?
going back.
And they keep going back. They not even addressing that. Nobody's asking questions like, well, what made you go back?
Right.
We're not going
And
to ask the hard questions that's going to determine whether you a real victim, a fake victim. You know what I'm saying?
and I wouldn't want to hear I was scared, that's why I kept going back.
Once you got gone, like, get out of here. If you scared, that's like me. I'm scared of the haunted house. I went, I experienced it, I'm scared, and I never went back.
Right.
You can't convince me to go back.
Right.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you ain't talking about no threats, no nothing. You just, like, you went back
Right.
two,
She
three
didn't say
times a week.
nobody threatened her or anything. And the other girl said that he forced her, but she really didn't describe a forceful situation.
Right.
She said he just like he pulled her on top kind of forcefully.
And that's what
And that
she
made
said.
her scared to not perform. Yeah, that's what she said. That made her scared to not perform. But
Shoot,
if
I should
you've
make
been
up a
there,
story.
if you've been there that many times, let's just say that Epstein was just your average Joe. The judge is gonna ask her, you went there that many times and you was in nothing but your panties that many times and you didn't think it was going to eventually go someplace sexual?
Right.
They would ask her that, like, if you didn't think it was gonna be anything sexual, why did you come back after he done already masturbated right there in front of you?
Right.
And then you came back again and took your clothes off again.
Right.
That
We don't have
sort of
no explanation
insinuates
to this.
consent.
Right.
Well, that girl was describing a consensual situation. And
Hmm.
she said this went on for a
Not
period of
being
time.
trafficked.
Right. She went there on her own. And all we got that could have made the situation illegal is that she said this happened when she was 14, which she don't have no proof of. It could have very well happened when she was 18. We wouldn't know.
Right. This one, did she even say anything about money? He was giving her money or
No,
drugging
not
her,
this
bringing
one.
her over the state line or
Nope,
anything?
not well. This one, she said, yeah, she was traveling over state lines, but
No, but was he drugging her, forcing her? She never
she
said
didn't
that.
say nothing about no drugs, and she didn't say nothing about no money.
Right,
I'm still waiting. Like the other girl said that they was just giving her money when she left,
right,
and that's not a crime. She took the money and she still came back.
right. Well, did
She
any of
didn't.
them ever become models?
Well, I know with these two they didn't. I don't know. I like to let them speak for themselves.
Okay. Well, let's
You know
hear it.
what I mean? I obviously this one didn't, and I don't think the other one did. They became victims, is what they became.
Right.
They ain't even saying what they're doing now, other than getting paid for interviews.
I gotta get ready to get out of here at 1. I gotta go pick up that,
Oh,
take care of
okay.
my
Well,
big son.
we ought to be able to finish way before the end.
Yeah.
But let's roll. I know there's more victims, but the other victims' interview shouldn't be nowhere near this long.
Yeah.
Telling you straight out what it is. And on the topic of you seeing a UFO, we know, if you've done any research on the UFO topic, that you can't research UFOs without coming across the concept of underground bases from the military.
I'm about to speed her up a little bit
Okay.
more,
All right.
because they talking about conspiracy theories. We can listen to that kind of fast until she
Okay.
get to something that is kind of
Yeah.
relevant.
Right.
And if you think that's crazy, that just means you haven't researched the topic of underground bases or UFOs. And so I 100%, when you have an operation sealed in the protection of blackmail, it's not just, you have to think, they don't just sit on this blackmail, until something comes up to pull it on somebody. They have now an entire operation where a huge number of secret operations and projects and things can be taking place. Not just sex with children, not just sex with women against their will, but other types of secretive projects. If there's more in this world that goes on that's a secret than just sex trafficking, that's clearly a part of the story and the part that most people are familiar with. But I'm glad that you talk about the other parts too, because we deserve to know everything. And so long as the government's lying, you have the podium now. We're listening to you now.
Well, we've all got to listen to ourselves, and we've got to listen to our own research. I've been lucky enough to be afforded the time to do the research, and unlucky enough to be kidnapped by these assholes. So I've made it my life mission to catch them. I don't care if I die doing it, as long as I make some difference in the world. But thank you so much, because another thing with underground bases is Epstein's ranch is directly between Dulce Base and Roswell, so it's very much in the area where a lot of the stuff goes on.
Yes, Dulce Base. If people don't know, Dulce Base is basically just openly known at this point. There's an underground base there where there's advanced technology being tested, and I think that what people who want to be turned off by the phrase UFO, it's not just victims of the Epstein operation here that have had experiences seeing UFOs. There are millions of people across the globe, and this is a thing that goes back throughout history and throughout time. You can look at people in the 1800s, coming forward and saying that they're seeing things in the sky they don't understand. That there's a precedent for this that goes back a long time, and it's all deeply tied to advanced technology, aerospace companies, which is why it's interesting you said that NASA is having a mass resignation thing happening. And all these things go together. The occult in general is deeply tied to the UFO topic. I don't want to go just talking about only that, but it's important for people to know.
In Zimbabwe, there's a school where 62 children witnessed a UFO in 1994. People must look it up online.
Right. And it doesn't have to be an alien from Mars. It could be as simple as there is a portion of society that has access to technology. We don't. We know for sure the military does. What do you think the drones were? That Trump also refuses to disclose despite promising to. It's all really just in your face, and it's up to people to really fight through the kind of emotional response to shut it all down. That's what I've really come to learn about, conspiracy theories in general, is that 99.9% of the time, the only thing stopping you from just understanding the truth and seeing what's really happening in the world is sort of a trauma response that we all have to admitting to ourselves that the lie can be that big. But clearly the lie can be that big and even bigger than anyone thinks. I'm horrified by the Trump administration's response to this. And, at the end of the day, I'm not going to beat myself up too hard about being duped, because between him and Kamala Harris, there was one person promising to release the Epstein files. And in my mind, that alone, logically meant that he wasn't implicated as committing crimes. But now that he's in, and he's refusing so hard, it's hard to deny that there is some involvement with him, obviously, and it's just clear as day. And again, that goes back to, that's my own sort of emotional response to, I don't want to believe that, maybe, right? The same way that people have that about topics that we're talking about. I can't, adjust to a worldview where UFOs exist because it's an emotional thing. People don't realize it. I probably didn't realize that when it came to Trump.
Say what?
What Kamala Harris got to do with this? Between him and Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris was never the president. So what is she talking about?
She said it was only one of them promising to release the Epstein files.
But what Kamala Harris? Why not Biden? Why Kamala Harris?
Because she was talking about when they was campaigning. When he made the promise to, release the JFK files and the Epstein files. That's what she talking about. But I
So
mean, it's ridiculous. At that time, he wouldn't have known what was in there.
what was in the file? Right,
And that's the garbage that they keep trying to sling. The Democrats already knew it was nothing in there.
right.
And when Pam Bondi came and said, okay, well, there was no client list, there was no quote unquote client list. I feel like the Democrats was sitting back in a cubby hole somewhere like, ooh, that's our chance right there.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. They knew they're the ones that keep asking about this
Right.
client list
And now they just keep, they every day they
specifically.
want to keep just like they kept beating everything else to death.
Didn't they
The
know? Did
34
anybody not
felonies,
know?
34 felonies. They just kept
Right.
beating those things to death. Even though it was nothing there, they just it's like they're psychologically duping people. This is
Mhm.
brainwashing.
Mhm.
This
Now
is
you got all these
brainwashing.
people like, why he won't release the client list? The client. Half these people that's asking for a client list ain't even went and looked at the other list that they have released. I've asked people when they say
Exactly.
that.
They didn't
I'm
even
like,
look at
what
the flight logs.
exactly? What exactly are you looking for? They like, I know Trump on there. But Elon was on pictures too, because Trump was on a picture with Epstein. Well, Elon was on a picture with Maxwell, but that's different. That's different. Even though they
But
both accused of the same stuff.
what if a quote unquote client list don't exist?
Well, I mean, Epstein's attorney said that it don't. He said that would mean that Epstein was writing down each person and trafficking. The trafficking with a kid. Like
Right. That would mean
the
that Epstein
Democrats
would be
know that it's no clients list. They had the
exactly.
files
They
prior
know
to now.
Elon.
They
They
could have
know that
made it known.
they know Epstein wasn't recording his own crimes.
Right. That's why
Who
they
does
brought it up.
who does that?
That's why they brought it up to make Trump look like a liar because Trump, if it was a clients list, he would have released it. Or,
Exactly.
they're still looking. Like right now, they just did a vote of releasing. It's files everywhere. Maxwell is going through an appeal right now, so it's files that are unsealed. I mean, that are sealed that they can't get. So until they get all of these files from different, like her case, it might be if it's a client's list, it might be in there. If it's not in there, then it may not be one. But they don't have all the files. They only have what was given to them.
The public don't have all the files.
Right. But the
But
stuff that's in that case are sealed. You gotta wait to unseal that stuff. And until her court case is up, you can't even get those files.
whose case is up?
Maxwell.
She got another case coming up, or are we talking
No,
about her appeal?
she appealed her case, so it's going through appeals right now.
Well, they're gonna have to wait then. They're not gonna release
That's what I'm
anything as
saying.
long as that case is going
Exactly.
on.
Exactly. But people so stupid. They like, they want really they don't even know what files are in there.
They ain't gonna know
They
now.
find out right until her court case is up. If
Right.
it was a client's list in there, they can't get it until her case is up.
What if they even if they did have it, they're not going to release it to the public because the names on there, those people would be under investigation. They're not just gonna tip them people off like, yep, so and so was
Yeah,
implicated. Now we're going to investigate them. They're going
right,
to instantly, immediately start destroying evidence. That's not how the law works.
right.
They don't
Well, they
do
don't
things
get
that
it.
way.
They dimwits, and so they can only get it on a dimwit level.
Right.
They don't think about ongoing investigations or people that's being investigated right now. They don't understand it's a statute of limitation for some of this stuff. Some stuff is sealed, some stuff isn't. All they want to do is just say Trump. Well, he promised and he ran on that. I don't recall him running on.
He
I
has to
voted
be
for him.
on that list. He has to be. Now, if they release a list and his name ain't on it, then what?
Sure. I mean, it's so many people that said that Trump wasn't there.
She just said it.
Right. It's a lot of people. Even Epstein's attorney said that Trump was not implicated. He was not. I mean, if you look online, it tells you, even with the left, so you can look on AI and it'll tell you, and you know, AI is a left leaning source. It will tell you that he was never implicated, or he never took a flight on Lolita Express to Epstein Island. That's the plane that went to Epstein Island. He was never implicated, never seen on the island, none of that. And that's a left leaning source. Nobody can ever say that they saw him on that island. Nobody has ever said that. You got Elon Musk who said he's on that list. Well, dog, you on it too. But he didn't say that because, see, they subpoenaed Elon Musk for that JP Morgan stuff that she was talking about. They subpoenaed him. He never said that he got subpoenaed or that he dealt with Epstein. He denying all of that. But yet he got subpoenaed. Why
Or
he
that
didn't?
he was close to Ghislaine Maxwell too. And she could have brought the girls directly to his house and never told anybody.
Right. And this had to do with the U.S. Virgin Islands or whatever. But it was two places that they never even raided. So what if it was files for those that they never rated, so they don't have any files? Those was the business. Those would have been the clients, the business clients. And Elon would be on the clients list. If he were keeping track of a clients list, Elon would be on it because he advised Elon with Tesla.
Right. His clients list would be from his legal business, not
Exactly.
from no trafficking. He wouldn't keep a
Right.
client list for that. I mean, like,
Mhm.
common sense would tell you that. Anybody who know anything about the streets, ever did anything on the streets, from the streets, you ain't keeping no client list.
Right. What clients list are they looking for? It had three different islands. It was business going on, it was trafficking, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So which client list? Is it the client list of his business? You know what I'm saying? They assuming what the client list should be for. They just
Yeah,
thinking it's a
what
traffic client
list?
list.
What list would have recorded what happened to her on the plane if she wasn't on the flight log?
Right.
What list would have recorded that blowjob that she witnessed on the beach?
Right, 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 right,
What client list would have recorded that?
right.
Would Epstein be on his own client list? Because he seemed like the main client.
Exactly.
All these victims have been with him. I ain't found
Right,
no victims that said they've been with anybody else yet, and that's what I'm
right,
looking for.
right,
Like, where do we go from here?
right.
You know what I'm
Where's
saying?
the proof of the, like, even with talking to these victims so far or listening to these victims so far, they never, who was implicated in it? Who was the clients that they was being trafficked to?
Epstein.
Exactly.
All right, let's get through her so we can get to the next one.
All right.
And the situation's worse than I thought. You know, we're looking at two sides here. We probably have presidents from both sides on the list, politicians from both sides. It's insane. And so that's why I say, you know, it's just my own personal, I'm more so looking for spiritual solutions here because political ones don't seem to be cutting it anymore.
Right.
But let me ask you, do you have any hope remaining that the truth can come out in a government disclosure format?
No. I knew they'd never release this. I mean, that's why I did an interview recently with an amazing guy, and he said they're doing their due diligence. They're going to be releasing the list. And I just started laughing. Like, I just know they're not going to, because if they release the list, that's the end of the government. And with the end of the government will mean the end of religion. It'll mean the end of society as it is, which will be a good thing for the people, but a bad thing for them. Because people have been kept as slaves. You get rich slaves, you get poor slaves. You know, all of us are slaves in ways. You know, a lot of people, they own the houses, the bank owns their houses, the banks own their cars. We can't trust the banks. We can't trust the system. I mean, we learned that long ago in South Africa. You know, our electricity went off, and, you know, we learned not to trust our government a long time ago. But what you can trust is people, I promise you that much.
I agree. So here is a question that is pretty contentious. We know, again, anybody who's researched this even a little bit, that there were connections between Jeffrey Epstein and the CIA. If you research a little deeper, you see there was also between Jeffrey Epstein and the Mossad over in Israel, and also the KGB and MI6. You know, it's clearly the Western world was using him in general. Do you know that firsthand? Did you hear or see any evidence of that while you were being affected by this?
He told me he worked with CIA. Before I was sent home from there, he told me he had my family's name on a list. He told me he worked with the CIA. And then he told me that a girl who accused him of rape, he planted drugs in her apartment and had her sent to prison. So, I mean, it was very obvious threats. And also Leslie Wexner and Maxwell apparently were both working with Mossad. And, you know, people say Mossad CIA, it's the same thing. And FBI.
Right.
You know, it's all the same thing. You know, the FBI wanted to fly me there to interview me. About the whole Epstein thing, but they didn't want to interview me on Zoom because I won't travel without my child, and they wouldn't let my child's father wouldn't let us travel. So when I couldn't travel there, they no longer wanted to interview me. They only wanted to interview me in person.
That is disgusting. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
What I'm getting from, yeah, that's a disgrace that our FBI would treat you that way.
They never took my statement.
They didn't take a statement from someone who was paid out from the Epstein. Wow. And so I see now why you mentioned laughing at the thought of the government coming forward with this. It was the government doing it. So you can't really get the government to tell on itself, right?
No. I learned from Epstein not to trust the government. When he kidnapped me, when Clinton watched the Modding Casting Guy, then that's when I realized the government were liars.
Yeah, I agree. It's clear as day. It's one of those things. That's just a fact of life. And you know, the government has partook in human trafficking and in other operations throughout history as well. You look at MK Ultra, you look at MK Often, you look at so many things. You know, putting chemicals in the water to affect school children just to see what would happen if we give them this disease. They play with our lives like it's nothing, and yet we're paying taxes to them. We're subservient to them. You know, if we don't pay enough in our taxes or we get a number wrong, the IRS is coming on our door, but they can get away with what they've done to you and so many other people, countless people. You know,
keep on. 10% of at least 10% of people in prison in America apparently they're unfairly.
Oh,
people get framed. You know, I've read that somewhere.
I'm sure
there's a lot of injustice in this world. Yeah, and also you've got like people like in the Skull and Bone Society, people in positions of power. Sorry, my pups. You know, government, judges, politicians, lawyers. You know, they have it's like a boys' club. So like basically one of them gets caught doing something, they just get off with it. You know, how do you think Epstein got off in like 2006? You know, he just laughed about
it. You brought up Skull and Bones, which is another. Maybe the takeaway for people watching this is there's just some things everyone needs to start looking up. So look into the UFO topic, look into Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones is a fraternity out of Yale that is satanic and they participate in satanic ritual. People need to look up all of that, and that's why it gets so complicated. But I know exactly what you're saying.
Well, do you know, you just actually hit the nail on the head there. They're segregating people. It's like, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? You know, in Africa, we've had the same thing. It's like a color thing here. And it's like, they try to segregate us through these sort of class systems and color crap. And we don't care about that. People love each other. You know, any decent person who hasn't been too brainwashed understands that we are all people here and we all work together. But they segregate people because how is a Democrat so different to a Republican actually? At the end of the day, not the people in charge. I'm talking about the actual people.
Right.
You know, and that's why
now the people in charge.
The middle party. Sorry, Blake?
Even now, how much different are the people in charge if both of our last two presidents covered up the Epstein files? You know, it's what are we really voting for at the end of the day?
Yeah, and the way that they lied, like just don't promise it. Don't say they're going to release it and then go and lie like that because it actually hurts people. It hurts people badly and it makes everyone question everything.
Right. And maybe people should. And I imagine that there is a thought process within the administration, even beyond, you know, maybe covering up for individual people, like maybe Trump, maybe someone else. There's probably a thought process that if this came out, society would crumble in a lot of ways. You know, if we have, you know, the heads of these bankers, the heads of these banks that own us, if you know, Bill Gates, if the heads of huge charities, presidents from both political aisles, you know, that maybe they think that everything would just fall apart. But you know what? I don't want to live in a society that is propped up on the types of crimes that happen to you and others. I don't want to live in a world where we have to protect pedophiles or everything falls apart. I think it should fall apart then, and let's rebuild.
Definitely. A world where there are bombs going off and children getting murdered, a place where there are people starving unfairly when there's an abundance of earth, air, water, and seeds. You know, they just control everyone. And, you know, as far as the banks go, I wanted to also say, you know, with JP Morgan, human trafficking, how they paid all that money to the victims. You know, there's a lot of other weird stuff that goes on with JP Morgan. Apparently they had the butterfly trust with Epstein. And, you know, because I had a blue butterfly on my diary in the year that I was taken there. And I put the butterfly on my diary before I was even taken there. And I've got a painting that I did with a butterfly and a reptile before I even met him. It was weird. Then Virginia Gifford used the blue butterfly as her Twitter logo, at the time, X logo now. And Sarah Ransom has a blue butterfly tattooed on her arm. And then, so they started the Butterfly Trust in 2014 or 2013 to pay victims and accomplices. It was Epstein's trust started, you know, and then I realized one day that the butterfly is shaped like the human hips. So if they were taking our eggs, it would make sense to call it the Butterfly Trust. Then there's also more weird stuff with JP Morgan, like they had code words of Disney princesses, like Beauty and the Beast and Snow White, and like him and Epstein were having these conversations where they were using Disney princess names. I'm still digging deeper into all that.
Well, they love Disney.
They love Disney because so-called
victim. Well,
she ain't
yeah, because it's obviously
nothing.
she is not going to mention her her assault.
Nothing was
only
said
like,
that she was assaulted in here. He touched her leg.
right, exactly. Nothing at all.
How long is this one?
Woman who's making shocking.
This one is 9.5 minutes, but I'm going to I'm gonna speed it up too.
No, I'd rather hear it regular because it's giving me a headache. And I don't understand what they saying.
Elaine Maxwell, in her new book.
I was just trying to get to, you know, all the speaking.
I almost took my earplug out because I couldn't understand it, and I was like, that it's giving me a headache.
Violence No More: Surviving My Journey to Hell and Back. Sarah Ransom says she was recruited into Jeffrey Epstein's alleged sex trafficking ring back in 2006. Maxwell, as you know, is currently on trial. She's charged with recruiting and grooming underage girls for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, she denies all the charges, and Ransom's claims are not part of this case against her. Ransom, who is now 37 years old, was in court for the first day of the trial last week. She settled a civil lawsuit with Maxwell back in 2018. We'll hear directly from her in just a moment. But first, here's a look at some of her story and those very disturbing allegations against Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein.
What does today mean for you all?
Sarah Ransom says she was recruited into Jeffrey Epstein's world when she was 22. In her book, Ransom says she was approached at a New York City
real
nightclub
quick?
by a girl about her age.
Where? So he was charged, and Maxwell was charged with child sex trafficking, right?
Um,
That's what I'm
I
looking at.
okay. Well, I guess it's
That's
right.
what I'm. Sex trafficking
I
of
thought he was
minors.
just charged with trafficking.
No. All I'm seeing is when him and old girl was charged is sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. So
Mhm.
where are these victims falling in at?
That's what I'm aiming to find out.
Procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute in Florida. Other than that, I don't see any type of victims other than underage girls.
Well, they probably not still underage.
No, but these were never underage. This one that we talking about now, she was 22. The one we just
Hmm.
listened to, she was 20. They were never underage girls.
Right. So where are the underage girls?
Right. Why are they giving us? He was never charged for these.
No, it seems like he was charged himself for being with underage girls. But it doesn't sound like he actually was charged for trafficking anybody to anybody else. He was just accused of it.
Let me see. I mean, it say he was charged with he was a sex trafficker, but it says of minors and underage girls,
Can you
14
find
to
any?
17. Huh?
Can you find any?
Okay, hold on.
I'm gonna let her
Right.
go while you looking,
Okay.
because it's still other victims.
Well,
Offered
I found some Sarah Ransom, which is this girl.
Hmm.
That she alleged she was recruited and abused by him. But see, again, it's a of sexual abuse or involvement in trafficking, but he was never charged with. All of his charges were with underage.
Hmm. Well, the reason why I chose this one of her is because she's supposed to be sharing new details of alleged torture.
Okay.
So you want me to roll it while you're looking?
Yeah, I'm just looking. All of these girls was underage, 14 and like that. This one right here, I'm interested to hear what she got to say because it don't say she was underage.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, we'll go to those next then.
to introduce her to Jeffrey Epstein, saying he helps a lot of young girls achieve their dreams. Days later, Ransom went to Epstein's private island in the Caribbean with other young girls, including her recruiter and Ghislaine Maxwell. The abuse, she says, started on that island where Epstein raped her.
I'm here representing civil society.
It was Maxwell, she says, who often called her to Epstein's room. She writes, while Jeffrey was reeling in children by the dozens, Ghislaine was shoring up his social credibility. Epstein, she says, promised to help her get into a prestigious fashion school with a caveat. She had to lose 30 pounds off of her 5'9" frame. She writes, you'll need to get down to 114 pounds. Instructions, she says, came from Ghislaine Maxwell. Like many of Maxwell and Epstein's accusers, Ransom's trouble started long before she met the pair in 2006.
I had no idea the lines den that I was actually getting into.
Ransom was born and raised in South Africa by a single mother. She was raped for the first time at the age of 11, she says, by her mother's boyfriend. Years before she met Epstein and Maxwell, Ransom says she turned to sex work to stave off homelessness. When she escaped Epstein in 2007, she turned.
What? Okay, so I guess she can't say that she wasn't a prostitute. Maybe she can say she wasn't a prostitute at the time.
But can you say that you didn't willfully go at your age because you was already deciding to do that?
If she had already become a sex worker.
Exactly.
To sex
Was
work
she-
again.
I was gonna say, was she a co-conspirator? Shoot.
I don't know. Then that's why
I
I'm
mean, for
listening
you
to
to
the
be
victim.
there, yeah, for you to be there with other young girls, like you wasn't a young girl.
Right.
Thing she deeply regrets and writes in her book, I've made regretful choices in the name of survival and acted at times in breathless desperation. I am not perfect, and that is the point. Now, we spoke to Sarah Ransom ahead of the release of her book. She told us why she was afraid to speak out for so long. Sarah, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me here.
I know, I can't imagine how you're feeling. We've just looked at a piece about your life. As we sit here today, Ghislaine Maxwell's trial is underway. The Ghislaine that you write about in your book and the Ghislaine that the defense has laid out on the very first day, we're being told that she's being used as a scapegoat, that she was not involved in any of the sex trafficking. What do you think when you hear that?
It makes me sick. I remember very distinctly before, I'd been on Jeffrey Epstein's island for a few days with some other survivors who had been raped, as well as I had been raped. And just before Ghislaine arrived, Jeffrey very, very clearly said to me, you answer to Ghislaine, you do exactly what she says, and you don't cross her. Bearing in mind, from the first time I'd been on the island, Jeffrey said to me, I will kill you. I will kill your parents if you ever run, if you ever tell anybody, or if you ever go to the authorities. So
do you ever tell anybody what?
About the rapes and about what he was doing to me. So I was already frightened. I was terrified for my life. So when Jeffrey said to me, you do not cross her, I knew, you do not cross her. I have so many examples of how Ghislaine not only tortured me and abused me, but other survivors. When Ghislaine had been on the island, I'd been on the island for a few days, and Jeffrey had like this outside patio with seating, and she looked at me and she walked over to me and she said, Jeffrey wants you. And I completely froze. And she grabbed my arm and marched me into Jeffrey's room where I was then raped. So when she says that she had nothing to do and she had no idea, she was a facilitator. She was Jeffrey's right-hand woman. She orchestrated everything.
The thing about your book that fascinates me is your very first line. You said, I never planned to tell the story. When I fled hell, you call it, I made a pact with myself. No one would hear the details of what happened to me in those grievous 9 months of my life. Not my parents, not my brother. Yet you've written a book because you want us now to know the story. Why?
Maybe she's upset because he didn't pay. She was already a sex worker, right?
Wait, where was he charged for abuse?
I don't know.
Never.
I don't know.
Even with these young girls, none of it said that he abused them, other than sexually, but
Right.
Why nobody crying abuse?
I feel you're only as sick as your secrets. I was tired of being afraid. I was tired of living in fear. I got to a stage where I needed people to know my story because I don't ever want what happened to me to happen to anybody else. And when I first came forward, I was victim shamed. I was trolled. I was told, you were 22, you deserve to be raped. Now,
You're a gold digger.
I'm a gold digger.
You're in it for the money.
I was in it for the money. And, and that really triggered an anger in me that I didn't even know existed, like a fire. And
what is the reality of that?
The reality of
sex
that
worker
is the victim
before this
shaming.
or after?
Survivors don't come forward because they're afraid to be judged. They are afraid that they won't be believed because they have made certain bad decisions in their life. but I did not deserve to be raped. Because of my bad decisions, I'm not a free-for-all where any person has the right to just rape me whenever they want.
But
What was her reason for going there?
exactly, that's what I'm wondering. What was her reason for going there? And if she had already been a sex worker, would she not have had such a problem with if he offered to pay her first?
Right. And you went there with other young girls, underage girls. You the
Right.
20-year-old, but he was into underage girls. So how did you get in the party?
Strange, huh?
Yeah.
Rape is rape.
Gielan supporters, by that I mean her family, has certainly spoken very adamantly on her behalf, say because Jeffrey isn't here, survivors like yourself just want to punish Gielan for Jeffrey's misdeeds.
But that's nonsense, and it really, really infuriates me when people say that. I was forced into Jeffrey's room to be raped by Ghislaine. Ghislaine is as responsible, if not more, than Jeffrey.
Why was she
What
there?
would justice look like for you?
Right. Like,
Why was she there?
it's awfully strange that this can happen over and over again, and they don't have to force you to the island, but they got to force you to the room.
Right. Never said she was forced or nobody kidnapped her, and like we just coming in like, what? How did you? It's like the one that accused Trump. It's like you was already a prostitute, but now you
Right.
got so many morals and like you give this up for no reason to anybody.
Right. She was a porn star, like making
Porn
video
star.
after video before she even met Trump. But she the problem.
Right.
Ugh.
She got morals now.
Right. She changed her life
You just so
afterwards.
happen to end up around a man with money, and it just so happened to turn out that you got money from this dude,
Hmm.
and we
And it
believe
just
in the
so
porn
happened
star.
that you had been selling it to everybody else, but you wasn't willing to sell it to this one. And he had more money than anybody you had ever been with.
Right, right. This one was it probably got picked up as a sex worker. She already said she was one. That's
Right.
probably how she got picked up,
Right.
and she went agreeingly.
Jelaine probably already knew this.
Right. Now you he raped me. What did you go for in the first place?
Right. To take pictures on the beach with other girls.
Right. And are you blackmailing him? Because were you there doing stuff with them young girls
She
too?
didn't say it
Because
was no guys there she was going to check out.
it, why did she go there? Was she thought she was just about to go live on the island, chill on the island? What
I'm
did she
hoping one
tell
of
you?
them tell us. I'm hoping.
Right.
As you sit here today,
Jeffrey's dead, Ghislaine's here. I want Ghislaine behind bars for the rest of her life, purely because she is that sick. The public are not safe with her on the street. I want people to know what happened. And me being and speaking and living my
I want to
truth
know what happened,
has
but I
set me
guess we
free.
got to buy the book.
It's set
I
me
do
free.
too, right?
now, of course, we reached out to Ghislaine Maxwell for comment, but she did not respond to us. Maxwell has pleaded not guilty and firmly denies any wrongdoing. You know, it was interesting talking to Sarah Ransom because CBS has done interviews with her over the years, and she says writing this book has been an incredible
That's the end of that one.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna share yours?
I don't have one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you talking about the one that no, I don't really have nothing on that.
Oh, okay. Well,
But
that was that one. There's another victim too. This the one right here though.
The
How
only
long
solace
is it?
for me is that when
6 minutes.
a group of people, this is
After this, I gotta take care of some stuff.
Everything. The only solace for me is that when a group of people who've experienced trauma of this kind come together united against a common enemy, there's a very special bond between us all.
A painful bond shared among these 6 women sitting together for the first time for an exclusive interview with NBC News.
I find it very comforting to be here.
Marika Chartouni, Anushka DeGiorgio, and Rachel K. Benavidez sharing their stories about Epstein for the first time on television.
I think the nature of this kind of abuse means that you're conditioned to be silent, to be isolated, secretive, and shameful.
I feel like, it was a big game for him, and we were the pieces of his game.
You're like, I'm just not going to say anything because that's what he told me to do.
The women all have familiar stories of grooming, promises, and then sexual assault.
I can relate to pretty much every person sitting here next to me.
Virginia Roberts-Jufrey says Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her one summer when she was working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago. In her first broadcast interview, Virginia tells NBC News what she has previously alleged in court filings, that Epstein directed her to also have sex with a number of powerful men, among them Britain's Prince Andrew.
He was an abuser. He was a participant.
Virginia says she was 17 when this photo was taken with the prince in Maxwell's London townhome, next to the bathroom, where she says he sexually abused her.
What happened? The first time in London, I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey. And Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house. And I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein." I couldn't believe it.
Virginia says the abuse moved from the bathroom to a bedroom.
He wasn't rude or anything about it. He said, "Thank you," and some kind of soft sentiments like that, and left. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
She says Prince Andrew abused her 2 more times, once in New York in Epstein's mansion, and again at his Virgin Islands estate.
Prince Andrew, of course, denies that this ever.
So she didn't go home in between?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, she said, okay, now she done got assaulted, so she says, but she went back for it to happen again?
I mean, nobody said that they was being held captive, did they?
No, she not saying that. Like, she drunk the drink that she went out to the club with him. If she was being held captive, she could have just ran out the club. She had a club with like hundreds of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is she being held captive if she's traveling to all these different places and
Right.
nobody's filing a missing person?
That's what I'm saying. Like, these mothers, like, your daughters was trafficked and you didn't, like, where's the police reports? Where's the, like,
Yeah, she drunk the
where the
drink.
mamas at? Why
She
wasn't
knew
they
it
on
was
TV?
vodka. It's because this girl wasn't underage, obviously.
She was
If she
17,
traveled,
but was she 17 and 11 months? Like,
how
where
was
was
she traveling? Was she 17 when she met them, or was she 17 when this was
it
happening?
says she was 17 during her alleged first encounters with Andrew in 2001.
Where did they get her from? Like, did they pick her up from school, or did they take her from her parents if she was 17?
This one is the one that says she worked at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, and her parents didn't find nothing suspicious when she didn't come
Right,
home.
she ain't come home. They didn't go to Trump and question or put out a police report or none of that.
Well, if she worked at Mar-a-Lago, what's she doing with Prince Andrew? Just saying.
Right.
She already had a job. She obviously didn't need the money. But
Excuse me.
It's her story. I
It
guess
says
I
she
let
ran
her.
away from home several times during her early teens. By the age of 16, she was living in foster care and had periods of homelessness.
So when did she end up in Mar-a-Lago?
She began working in Mar-a-Lago as a spa attendant, I guess when she was 17.
If you got a guess, that mean they ain't saying.
Her daddy, her father, name is Guy Roberts, he said publicly that he drove her to Epstein's mansion, believing she was working as a masseuse for a wealthy man. He reportedly did not realize she was being exploited. So she lied to you, and I mean, you drove her.
Mm-hmm.
You
She could have told
drove
him
her
right
there.
then and there.
It said there is no public evidence that her parents reported her missing during this time or were actively searching for her as a missing person. It appears they were in contact with her but unaware of the abuse.
Because she didn't tell him.
Right.
And why? Why not? Why wouldn't she tell him?
Exactly.
Because they threatened her and said they'll kill everybody. Okay.
Ever happened. He denies that it ever happened, and he's going to keep denying that it ever happened. But he knows the truth, and I know the truth.
What do you say if people think this is about money for you, that you're trying to get money and have gotten money?
Well, unfortunately, there's this horrible law called statute of limitations. My lawyer said the way to get Ghislaine Maxwell held accountable, the way to get Jeffrey Epstein held accountable is through them saying I'm a liar, which I'm not. So it's called a defamation suit.
Like all others she's named, Prince Andrew has denied the allegations. Buckingham Palace telling NBC News in the statement, it is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts. Any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation. Maxwell has not been criminally charged and has repeatedly denied the accusations against her.
What does justice look like to you now?
Justice now is holding accountable the perpetrators that helped him and participated with him, and encouraging more people to come forward so we can try to put this puzzle together and understand how it happened. How did this happen for so long? How did he get away with it?
These are questions many of these women have asked, especially now after Epstein's suicide in jail, awaiting trial on child sex trafficking and conspiracy charges.
I feel let down, that he was able to commit suicide. Yeah, it was really upsetting.
They failed us before. Don't fail us again.
Exactly.
That's all we're asking. Take us serious. We matter. You matter. You matter, and you matter. And for all the girls out there, you all matter too.
Yes.
A message to other possible victims of Epstein still waiting in the shadows.
Jeffrey thought that we were disposable and he threw us all away. And look who's still standing.
There's something about seeing the group of women together with those shared stories that is incredibly compelling, as is Virginia's story.
The image itself is powerful,
Yeah.
and the words even more powerful.
Yeah, you can see Savannah's full conversation, a special Dateline that is tonight at 10, 9 Central. And by the way, we are going to check in with Savannah in just a little bit and see how she's feeling in our next hour. She has come down with pneumonia, and we're going to talk to a doctor about what we can do about that.
So this dude met with Epstein and Maxwell. He personally visited Epstein's Palm Beach mansion to meet Epstein and Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, at the meeting, he was told Virginia would learn massage therapy and earn good money.
Well, sounds like she did both. Maybe not a therapeutic massage, but
Right.
I guess that's debatable.
I'm sorry, I'm not driving my daughter to no dude's house. And especially you talking about massage. I don't even want my kids learning massage because they gotta be in personal settings, let alone in a dude's house doing massages.
But if it's a billionaire and they telling you ain't nothing going on, you probably would.
No, I wouldn't. Not my daughter.
Even if they say it ain't nothing going
Heck
on.
no. I'm thinking my daughter's safety. And guess what? I obviously I'm right because it wouldn't have happened to mine. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my daughter's definitely not doing that at 17. At
Right.
18, I probably can't say anything. but I would definitely make sure she's safe,
Right.
especially if I'm driving there.
Right. And then why is your daughter like? Did she when she went that first time, second time, or whatever? Like they wasn't actively looking for her. Like they never reported her missing or nothing. So like what like
They must not have been worried about her in her travels.
nah.
That would have to be her fault.
But what she did, right?
She led them to believe everything was okay. That would have to be her
Hmm.
fault. She obviously wanted a job for them to let her work.
Right. She already had a job. Why would you go there? And her family had money.
Hmm.
So it ain't like she really needed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like her daddy owned, I think he owned properties too.
They might have had ulterior motives, like some of the parents of R. Kelly's victims.
Hmm.
It's sad, but it looks like all the victims that's out there speaking, all the ones that was assaulted by Epstein, and the one from Prince Andrew.
But it's odd that not he wasn't charged for. Well, did he get charged for? Which ones did he get charged in? That's what I want to.
Who, Epstein?
Yeah,
I don't know, but they didn't charge Prince Andrew, and there must be a reason for that.
exactly. Right. Because she said she had multiple times.
Either past the statute of limitations, or there was no sign of any assault, no proof.
See, that was the 17-year-old girl that said Prince Andrew.
Yeah, but all she said
But he
was
wasn't charged.
he sexually assaulted me, and it started at the bathroom and ended up in the bedroom.
Right. And it happened more than once.
Right, which is weird.
Right.
Like the first time you can say it's not consensual, but when you're talking about a second and third, at some point it becomes consensual. When
Right.
you're talking about different dates and different places.
Right. I'm just trying to understand why he was never charged with none of these ones that we looking at, you know.
Epstein,
Yeah.
probably because they wasn't underage and they don't have any proof that it wasn't consensual.
I mean, why would Maxwell be charged and not Andrew, Prince Andrew? If they found them guilty, they would have to find him guilty. He was the one that did what he did with her. How could they find
What is she charged with?
sex trafficking and all of it is with underage minors? Sex trafficking.
But it don't say to who.
Nope.
Well, they must already know who in her case.
Well, I think the one Virginia, whatever, she was one of them. But again, she just said out of her own mouth that Andrews was the one that had raped her or whatever she want to call it. But he wasn't charged. But Maxwell was. That's what I'm trying to understand. If you gave this testimony and they were charged for even sex trafficking, you was still a minor, so why wasn't Prince Andrew charged? I ain't understanding that.
I don't think
If
they have
this
any
went
proof
to
of it
trial,
other than just her word.
well then what proof that they got? I mean, well then well she said it though. You know what I'm saying? If it's the truth, then why couldn't it have been proven? If they going based on what she said, because her
Well,
daddy
they can't
drove
prove
her
it
to the
because
place.
the parents can't confirm it happened. She was never missing for any period of
Yeah,
time. She
but so
never
how did
said
they
anything
charge them with
happened.
sex trafficking when the daddy dropped her off?
Maybe they charged them for other victims.
Well, they said she was one, unless they just throwing everybody in there.
It seemed like all the ones that anybody was charged for was with Epstein. I don't think there's any charges resulted on anybody else. Just from Epstein. And, with her case, it kind of looks like she was a willing participant. 17 is not legally illegal, right?
Yeah, it's
I
probably
believe in
like 17 and so many months or whatever. They probably look
no,
at
I
it a
think
little
in
different.
all states, the age of consent starts at 16.
16, yeah.
hmm So that's probably why they can't do anything to Prince Andrew except smear his name.
But again, it still don't make sense to me. And I'm a little bit tired, so I can't even think straight too
No,
much.
just the
But
fact that they waited all that long before they came out is
right,
that's crazy to me because they all came out when Epstein was alive. So at some point that fear must have wore off.
right. Let me see.